know where the trees at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfield.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag and Underdog Fantasy. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA, college basketball, to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Although the NFL season is done, there's still many games to be played between college basketball, NBA, NHL, and WNBA. There's always time to embrace your inner underdog. All you got to do is predict higher or lower on multiple different player statistics. If you have yet to download the Underdog app, do so now and get free cash. Click the link in the description or use promo code ChiefConcerns, one word, to claim your free pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So let's continue to keep the good vibes going into the spring season. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Chief Concerns, your Monday morning tight end show. I'm Marcus Dash. Right there in the middle is former Chiefs tight end Jason Dunn. And right there on the right is my brother, Tasia Dash, everyone's favorite public enemy number one, I think, Tasia Dash.
Oh, man.
What?
I guess so. They're hunting me down.
That's good. You go play on words right there.
Hey, got to play into it, I guess.
Hey man, don't lean into that, Tay. You know, hey, listen, look, everybody can have a variety of opinions on here, right?
Yeah.
Just think that sometimes, you know, when they start going after Kareem Hunt, they was like, oh, okay, that's a little bit too far. Tay's like,
man,
you know? Yeah.
I never said. I told you guys on the side, I'm okay with being hated on for my opinion, but if it's in my opinion that I'm being hated on for, not when someone listens to like 5 seconds and then fills in the rest on their own because they want to hate for something. Like, hate for the opinion. Listen to the whole thing. See where I'm coming from. And you want to hate me for it? Shit, man. Hate me for it. I don't care at that point. But I never said don't take them. I said if we draft somebody, play it back, I don't want Kareem Hunt to get 15, 20 carries a game. I'd rather him be saved for what he's good at in the postseason and late in the season, which is short yardage. That's why we all want him here. He ain't going to break runs. We want him here for short yardage, goal line packages. That's what his main bread and butter is, picking up that hard yard.
You did hesitate thinking that we weren't going to bring him back because of the Eli Mitchell sign. You thought
no. I said
you thought four running backs was kind of weird.
I said bring him in training camp means he might not make it out of training camp, and that's not a guarantee at this point. You're right. You agree with that, right? I mean, his contract doesn't mean that he's here for the long haul.
No, and I made the point about that being the same thing with Eli Mitchell as well. So
totally, I agree with that too.
No.
Yeah, I'm one of those that I believe Kareem Hunt deserves to get 5 to 10 carries if he's here. You know, we were talking about sometimes the conversation kind of went a little bit left. Wait a minute. I'm like, first we want to bring him off the couch for training camp. And then it was like, okay, now, you know, we could get into the conversation. But I think, you know what, you made a valid point. I think the reason and the full reasoning of it is, you know, getting another back here is going to be good, right?
Yeah.
I don't think nobody disputes that. And the thing is, I'm so glad that we did resign Kareem Hunt. And like I said, man, he's one of the team favorites. He's a guy we know going to get everything from him. I don't dispute that. If anything, of the backs that we have on the roster, I got more faith in him as far as anything right now, as far as getting over the tough yards and stuff like that. It's not taking anything away from Pacheco or Elijah Mitchell either. I'm just saying that, Kareem Hunt, man, I like this guy. I've known him since he's been in college. He's one of my favorites. So if I go and I stand on the table for him, it's because I like him. And his skill, not just person, but then his skill too. But before we get into this, man, let's talk to people that's here in the chat who came out tonight to come see us. So what we got here, man, we got YB Negative is in the house tonight. G Pick is here. Linda Hunter, how you doing, Linda Hunter? Nana Sherry is here. What's going on? How you doing? We got Neff. What up? What up, Neff? What's going down? What up, fam? Word. Hannah is here. And what concerns do we have this evening? Got a couple concerns here, Hannah. We're gonna be talking about it. Obviously, this Monday morning, or this Monday morning, we say morning, but tight end show or whatever. This in the draft, we're gonna talk about some guys that we believe could fit here in our scheme wise. So this is gonna be a good conversation tonight. Have your questions available and ready for us. We'll go ahead and we'll tackle them then. I'm the Brown. What's up, my guy? Good to see you. Daniel Akers is here. What's up, Daniel? We ain't seen that name in a long time. How you doing? Good to see you, Daniel. Yeah. Scarecrow is in the house. You will be back sooner than expected. Somebody got hip replacements. Who's it?
Yeah, G-Pig's getting surgery tomorrow. So big well wishes and prayers and blessings sent in your way, brother. I hope everything works out perfectly. Hopefully you are back on the mend soon, brother.
Yes, sir, G-Pick. We'll be putting the prayers up, maybe lifting you up, brother. It's going to be in and out. It's crazy. I was actually at the doctor, orthopedics, 2 weeks ago, and I was looking on the wall, and I was checking. They had knee replacement, hip replacement, and I was talking to the doctor because I was just inquisitive about the whole thing. I'm like, man, how was this, man? Are you like your old self? Are you better? He said, man, Jason, he said these things, knee replacement, hip replacements are life-changing. He said, man, if people need to get it, they need to go ahead and get it done. They revert back to their old selves, able to run around, do the things they're able to do. So G-Pick, man, this is a beautiful thing. I'm glad you're making the decision. If you needed it, my brother, wonderful for you. So this is a good step for you, man. So, I think everything's going to go well. Like I said, we're going to hold you up for sure anyway. So we'll keep you in our thoughts and prayers, brother. Hearts and Roses in here. What's going on? How you doing, my lady? Andrea Chanel is in here. Jay Kels is in. Howdy. How's it going? Mike Brennan is here as well. Brian Birch is in the house. Good to see everybody. Good to see. So in my opinion, it's how well you do rehab after the surgery. Yeah. G-Pick, take your time. Listen to the doctor's orders, but make sure you push yourself. Don't just sit around when they say get up, move. Go ahead and get up and move, man. But everything should be good. Should be good, man. Good to hear that. So, yeah.
So G-Pick, first few weeks, I know the doctors tell you to rest a little bit. We got you covered, man. You turn on YouTube, turn on Chief Concerns, just relax, but put the leg up, or whatever you got to do. Just kick back, and then once a PT starts, physical therapy starts, then lock in, brother. Put us on your headphones and do what you got to do, man.
Yeah. Go back to some of my my Friday night, talks. Okay, Get yourself going. All right.
Exactly.
Had to get you out there in the ring like you're out there ready to run through a wall. So
like you're Rocky in Part 4 Train in Siberia kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. I didn't want to say Rocky because who was that? Scarecrow was still pissed over the Super Bowl play calling. I am too, but hey, we move on, brother. We move on. So yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
The league year has started, Scarecrow. So it's a new league. It's a new year already. So we're already talking all the next year, buddy.
Look at the Brown says, why is Tasia looking like Tasia came back from the future? Tell us all how the Chiefs are doing in the year 2035.
Well, he's got the Back to the Future skateboard. Maybe that's what he's talking about in the background. Maybe
and the almanac right there too. I should.
Oh yeah, okay. There you go. That makes sense.
Okay.
So the Kareem Hunt thing, like I said, we talked last week about Bolton. Obviously, in this episode tonight, we're going to give you guys 6 prospects to talk about. But the the Kareem Hunt thing was very interesting. Obviously, we talked about it kind of ad nauseum last week on this show. But Nick Bolton was a very divisive, polarizing guy, right? He had a lot of Chiefs fans are pissed off by the contract. And then when Kareem Hunt got signed, you had a huge faction. We saw the huge faction of the big Kareem Hunt fans on our show last week, in the live chat. I think they maybe said like one or two people maybe said not bring him back. But most everyone was saying bring back Kareem Hunt. But then you get on Twitter, and you have a lot of these content creators. And I'm not gonna call out anything, but it seemed like the KCSN guys, and I've seen a lot of people would send me tweets, videos to the KCSN guys kind of talking about how Kareem Hunt, they didn't want him here. They were surprised the Chiefs were bringing him back. And it's like, what does the guy have to do to, like, win over fans? I mean, like, Kareem Hunt was the most productive running back we had last year. We relied upon him even when Pacheco came back, and even after Pacheco had a few games under his belt. Kareem Hunt was still the guy. They went to him to end games, the pivotal playoff games. He was the guy. And it's like people were surprised that we brought him back, and especially all the love he has in the locker room. The Kelce's, Mahomes, he was at Mahomes' wedding, and it's like still, you have, and I like KCSN. I like those guys over there. Our guy Barbershop has a show over there. And like the fact that I saw a lot of the guys from that network kind of like crapping on Kareem Hunt was really surprising to me. It was really surprising. A lot of people, we had people tweeted us saying they were done watching the KCSN because of the negativity towards certain players. And I was like, I get the Bolton thing. Bolton was a big time, it was big time money, right? And a lot of people get mad when you pay a guy big bucks. But Kareem Hunt, it's up to $1.5 million deal. So why be mad about that? I don't know. And one thing is like, oh, well, I hope this isn't to take away the Chiefs from drafting a running back. But I know 4 running backs now, or 3 running backs and Carson Steele, you're not going to draft a running back. So they already have their minds made up the Chiefs will not be drafting a running back. It's like, no, because all those guys are on 1-year deals. So you still got to draft a running back. Yeah.
Why you're asking why is there so much hate on what Bolton, Chiefs, or just players in general? Like
why was there so much of a polarization when it came to Kareem Hunt, right? Because like Bolton, I get the money aspect, and I get that can turn off a lot of fans. But we're talking about up to $1.5 million deal. Why were people so pissed off about Kareem Hunt? Because there was a huge faction that were big fans of the signing who wanted him back, and most of our fan base on Chief concerns all about it. But there was a huge faction of people who did not want Kareem Hunt, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I tell you what, let our Kareem Hunt
Kareem Hunt on the scene.
Kareem Hunt, yeah, go ahead. I wanted to hear you. You can touch it.
We're blowing in the background. I'm at the scene right now. I think in general, people just don't like being wrong. So they predict that they're not going to sign him. They have their reasons all planned out. They do a 30-minute segment on their show about it, and then they sign it, and they don't like being wrong about it. I'm not in that regard because I don't think it will stop us from drafting anybody. And if we do invest a high pick in a running back, it's not going to stop him from getting run. So if anything, it's just more camp competition, really. And it's something that I hope the rookie doesn't provide, right? I mean, we might just go another way and try to get a space guy that can kill in space, who's not good on short yardage. So, but I just think in general, people hate on that kind of stuff. 'Cause again, it's more about them. It's less about the player and it's less about the Chiefs. It's more about them not wanting to be wrong about things. It's just easier to kill the move than say like, oh, I could be wrong. I mean, it's like the argument I got with the whole Bolton thing. It's like, so the 4 out of the top 7 GMs in the league are wrong, but Twitter GMs are right. I just don't get that. And especially if it's not even a big contract. It's like, so it's not even hurting. If it were a big contract, I would see hurting the team. That's your main concern. But if it's not hurting the team in money, so who cares? Like literally, it's a zero. That's why I didn't wake up like all pissed off, because it's not going to take away from anything. It's not going to stop us from drafting someone. It's not going to stop us from signing someone. Like, who cares?
You know what? I think it may be. I think it's part of it. I do agree with you on that it is. Some may not want to be wrong for it, but I think it is. I think it's something else there. And I think it's part of it too. Sasha says it beautifully, like nationwide epidemic of people believing entities they have no connection to are spending their money. And so when people personalize like, well, this is my choice, this is my pick, I'm paying these players and all these it's like you don't make the decisions. Sorry, I get you. You have your favorites. I get that. But it's up to Veach and those guys to get the guys in here. They know what's best for the team. They've done all the homework that you've done, and more, and then some. Than some of these pundits, me and everybody else. They know these guys. They know what fits into their offense. They know what works, and so they've done a deep dive. I mean, they've ripped every single thing as far as all the arguments, as far as like why they have a guy here or not. Okay, and I think sometimes what people do, and this is part of the problem. This is what I believe, that they get so caught up in stats on things, right? They get so caught up in production of what production necessarily looks like, and they get lost in that sauce. I really do. I think that, like Taze, you brought up that he only averaged 3.8 yards a carry or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Last year. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? And I was sitting there like, hold on, wait a minute, though. Like, the offensive line didn't have their best year blocking last year. By no measure, by no means. And we were sitting there saying that our offensive line was the best one of the top offensive lines in the league. Last year, we didn't really show that on a consistent basis. No. We just didn't. So some of the tough yards, some of the, the 3.8 wasn't necessarily all on his back. It wasn't like he was just missing holes. There was times guys were just whipping guys. There was times that guys were just, wouldn't open up the lanes. And then also, too, we got to go into, like Scarecrow said, the play calling. Some of the play callings, the things that we were doing, wasn't something that was conducive to a running back with Kareem Hunt's talent. Kareem Hunt is a talented running back, okay? I'm not going to sit here and people talk about it, but Kareem Hunt is a solid back in this league. He is. He came in last year, gave us almost 800 yards, coming off the couch, literally coming off the couch, with no training camp. Like, you got to get your body ready. And you got to play football to be football in shape and ready, taking hits and all those different things. And half the time we didn't run the football with him. And when Pacheco came back, right, we were thinking, okay, Pacheco comes in, there's going to be a better rotation. And even then, we weren't doing our best job blocking even for him. Pacheco was being impatient, but Pacheco started getting a little bit more of the burn, started getting a little bit more of like the, in tune to some of the things we were doing. He started getting some of the reps. Then when Kareem Hunt came in, he started providing a little bit of spark for us. So we started looking at it and started trying to say, well, look, the correlation is Kareem Hunt has 3.8 yards. He's terrible. No. Joe Tooney wasn't playing that great. Creed Humphrey wasn't playing that great. Trey Smith wasn't playing that great. Juwan Taylor wasn't playing that great. There was the guys up front that was getting their tails kicked. And I'm being honest because I was grading these guys. And these guys are good. They're good guys. But it was things we was putting our line in positions where they couldn't be successful, where they were sitting back on the heels all the time. And what linemen want to do is they want to come out the daggone football and hit people in the mouth. And we weren't giving it to them. So yeah, that sometimes those numbers can be misconstrued because everybody looks at it all 3.8. If I'm just looking at it without having any context for it, this guy sucks to me. I mean, seriously. Well, I mean, what else you don't think, right? You're not going to say he's a good back. He has, he's been running through tackles, which he was doing. Pacheco wasn't doing that. Kareem Hunt was doing it. So that's why, to me, man, I just, if you're watching the game and you're watching how he's running, he provided a spark for us that we just didn't have last year. And so without him, we don't make it to the Super Bowl. We don't. We don't have a number one seed. We do not. And a lot of that was because Kareem Hunt was able to come in. He was able to give us a spark where we didn't really have one. So
I think there are two sides to that, though, JD, which is very interesting. I think because of our line play, Kareem turned a 1 yard loss or gain into 3 or 4 on a lot of carries.
Yeah.
But I also think there were many plays where he didn't have that extra gear to turn a 7 yard gain to like a 15 yard gain. he'd get caught at the second level. He couldn't get by that second level. He didn't have that burst. He had like quick level explosion, but he didn't have that speed. He doesn't have that breakaway anymore to once he did clear that first level and he was at the angling, a linebacker can angle him out and shoestring tackle him to get like 7 or 8 instead of like 15 or 20. Had he got that 15 or 20 on those carries, we'd be talking about him averaging like 4.5, 4.6 a carry. So I think it's a little of both. I think like I said before the beginning, I think his strengths are that short yardage turning -1 into like 3, which is a very valuable trait. I just think, again, to go back, we just need someone who can turn that 7 into 15.
So my thing is, as a guy that's blocked in the NFL, okay, will block the best of the best, defensive ends, defensive tackles, linebackers, and safeties. If you don't make it clean for a back to get to a certain level, because he was having a hard time just getting to the second level.
Yeah.
Like Calvin said, I would like to know how many times he got hit at the line of scrimmage. There was times, somebody missed a block. I forgot what his dope doing. He got hit in the backfield, and he still got like 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah, he's great at that.
That was very common. Like a back shouldn't have to deal with that, Tage. He shouldn't have to. Seriously.
Ideally, no. He should.
No, yeah. So
not with 180 million at the front line in the interior. No,
absolutely not. And so what I was saying is, how many moments did he have to actually get into the secondary to hit the 20-yard gain and whatnot? And look, I'm under no illusions that Kareem Hunt is the fastest guy out there and he's going to hit his head on the goalpost every time they get to the secondary. I'm not. But what I do need for him to do, and what he was doing well, is when he got to about the 10-yard, he'll get 10. He could get 12. Shoot, he broke to the secondary once in a while. You don't have to have the game-breaking speed. Shoot, all I need for him to do is move the chains. When you move the chains in the NFL, that's what you need. That's what we're asking guys to do. Is it great to have a guy like Saquon Barkley? Sure. But how many teams actually have a Saquon Barkley back there to go hit the head on the goalpost? If you go through the NFL and start looking at what guys have, there's not that many guys out there that can do those things. It's just not. NFL is hard to do, go hit your head on the goalpost. That's why I was saying, like I bought for Larry Johnson, I bought for Priest Holmes. Our offensive line opened up some holes where those guys could get in to get to the secondary to outrun guys.
Sure.
And they would got dangerous. But when
get him into one-on-ones.
Huh?
Get him into one-on-ones with the DB.
Right. And so
you got to win that.
You got to win it. I don't know how many times Kareem Hunt got to those one-on-ones to say when he get to the second level. I just see it look like a little muddled at the line of scrimmage, even to the second level, to linebackers where guys are getting hit. So, I mean, people could bring these things up, man, but I'm looking at it. I'm sitting over here, and I told you I always hate PFF, but he was ranked 21st out of running backs. 21st. And he didn't even have that many. How many games did he play?
Like 8.
Yeah.
Huh?
Like 8 or 9 games. Yeah, not much.
I mean, God.
And with no training camp and off the couch. I mean, he wasn't in shape at all. I mean, they brought him in. And he got
I know, but
14
man,
carries right off the back.
Hunt wasn't a burner coming out of college, dude. He ran a 4.62 at the combine.
So why are you so gung ho about the guy?
What do you think he runs right now? 4.8? Our main running back cannot be a 4.8. It just can't be that way. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know what he runs right now.
Look,
it ain't what he ran 9 years ago. I'll tell you that much.
Well, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. My nephew made a great point. Like Emmitt Smith was, he's not a 4 guy, 4.3. He's not. Emmitt Smith was a durable back.
That's like people naming Willie Roaf, JD, though.
Well, I mean? I'm giving an example. I'm giving an example of guys that's not fast, but they are very durable. You get to the secondary, but he's not going to burn you. What he does is you keep giving him the ball, you feed it to him, and he'll hit you over the head.
He's a great compliment back. I think he still is.
Right. If we find that guy to get his home run, to hit his head on the goalpost, good. That's what we want. We brought CH here. They let CH go because CHO had some issues and stuff like that, but he had fast, he had speed. Pacheco churns with his legs. He get his secondary. He'd get those long gains. But when you need, and I keep bringing this up, when you need a hammer to get the yards, because it's going to be tough sledding all day. Why? Because you're going to get some hard defensive line, some bad ass linebackers, and guys that come down feet. Then you need to change some things.
It's going to be an ugly day.
It is. It's going to be an ugly day, man. But you know those days are coming. As a blocker, you know those days are coming. You know what you got to deal with. So I just, I think that's part of it. As far as we can get lost in, the whole thought process. He's got to be Saquon or DJ, Derrick Henry and stuff. No, I'm just saying how other people think they do. They believe, like, when you have a back in the NFL, like, every guy has to be a Jamar Gibbs and everybody's got to be this guy. And if you're ranked 21st out of all of these running backs and you only average 3.8, you're doing some good things out there. I mean, you were. So Mike Brennan says, someone fact check me on this. I think Hunt has the longest run for KC last year.
He did.
That is more a reflection on the line.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but you probably have like 70% of our carries too. So it's like,
well, and also too, like one thing we did have last year that we didn't have in the years prior, and what we were kind of waiting for a long time, is having that short yardage game, right? Because we're a team that doesn't have the QB sneak. We're not doing tush pushes, but like we didn't have that element. We got the red zone. It's like, there we go. We had red zone issues. We had those last year too, but Hunt we were getting those goal line touchdowns because of Kareem Hunt. We're getting those fourth and ones. We're getting those third and ones because of Kareem Hunt. We haven't had that in quite a long time. And Kareem Hunt's not what he was 8 years ago, but he's a different version of himself, kind of like what JD talked about. When he was in Philly, he had the injuries, and then when he comes to Kansas City, he kind of remade himself, branded himself differently. Kareem Hunt's not the same explosive guy he was back then. Yes, he wasn't running 4.4 10 years ago. He's certainly not doing that now. But he's a different kind of guy now. He's now your short yardage, kind of a hammer type of guy. The smash and dash. We have the smash. Now we need the dash.
100%.
We had Carson Steele coming in starting. He was a guy that he was handing the ball off to. Okay. Carson Steele was making he was making a little churn, a little change. But then all of a sudden, like you said, in the case of Marcus was talking about, the year before when Hunt wasn't here, we had to get creative on third down. We had to do the whole fullback dive that everybody knew was going. Or we had to do the shovel pass on the goal line. Or we had to run corn dog and all these other things out and, to get guys in. Now, what they did is they lined up and said, we're going to give it to Kareem Hunt. You watch this guy go and eat. And he did. He scored for us. He got the first downs for us. And so that's value. That is absolute value.
100%. I think we're level-headed on this. There are some people that just want to give him like 20 carries a game, though. I think that's kind of the opposite.
I don't know, man.
Side.
There
are people that want him to be our main.
It's a very small sect of people.
It's the extreme. It's the extreme. It's the opposite of the don't re-sign him crowd. It's the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Look, I'm saying last year I wanted to give him 20 carries.
Oh yeah, last year I think Utasia wanted to give him 20 carries last year.
Yeah. Shoot. I mean, when that sucker was cooking, he started eating and he started, running into the secondary. You could see that he was getting stronger as the game went. And, he had that he hurt his side when it rib or something he might have did, or his stomach, he might have had a
hip or something.
Yeah, something. And he kind of went out. But that is a result of not having training camp. That's a result of not getting hit. All those different things, right? Your body just got to get used to he comes right, like I said, that joke was eating Cheetos, having brats or whatever it was up there in Toledo we was talking about, in Cleveland. He's having a good old time. And he's like, hey, Kareem, it's the Chiefs. What? Oh, shoot. What the? Yeah, but they won't bring you in. So, but he looked leaner. But I think it's where the hate goes. I think that's where all the hate goes into. Oh, man, we want this guy. Kareem Hunt is not that guy for us. Good. We don't want him to be that guy. We're not asking to be that guy.
Yeah.
We're asking for him to be a solid running back on a team that needs positive yards, okay? And as long as we have that, we know we have something good. We know we have something good. And then we sign him for as much money that we did? Man, come on, man.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer to me. It's a no-brainer.
And also to the element of if we are going to, and I think we all agree we are going to draft a running back. We don't know what round or how high or how late, but this is the draft to do because it's such a deep running back class. Also, having him in that room, and if you look at the last 10 years of Andy Reid's offenses, Kareem Hunt's been by far and away, the most successful running back of all the running backs that we've had. And obviously, even at his age now, he's still, doing what he's doing in this offense. And I think to get a running back to see the guy that's done it at his highest level in the Andy Reid offense and now doing what he's doing now, I think that's very beneficial to have a young guy to come in here and learn from Kareem Hunt. And he can show him the ropes of how to be a successful RB in the Andy Reid offense too. And I think that's a huge part that a lot of people are forgetting. Because I like Judkins, you guys like Hampton, for whoever the running back is, they bring him in and you can model your game after what Kareem Hunt's done in his prime and now. And it just to have that voice in the RB room to a young guy, yeah. I love that.
I think if anything, they're looking for a young Kareem Hunt.
Yeah. And they should.
You have the kind of guy you want to draft, really. Usually they're looking for that, I think. They're looking for their young version of Hunt at this point.
I think when you go in, you're trying to look for that guy that's a home run hitter, as opposed to having a solid guy that is going to get some very, positive yards, right? I think that's what you need as far as saying we want to be able to move the chains. We need a durable guy, a reliable guy, like a Kareem Hunt, right? A younger version of it. Maybe even somebody who's a little bit faster than him. There's a few guys out there that fit that bill. They do.
There are.
So I think, like you said,
great draft.
Not just saying that you emulate how he runs. It's just like Kareem helps with hey, this is what we do on our offense. If we run in zone, if we run a man, if we decide to run power, we decide to run, counter, mid zone, whatever it is. This is the whole way we're looking like. Not only that, but it can also have those guys block up front. Like I knew, one thing is this. You know how guys block because you watch them in practice, you watch them in film, you know how a guy comes off the football, all of that. I know a guy's tendencies. I know if a guy's not as strong on is going to the right side or left side or going to the second level or is not as patient just by watching film. He could provide that. The running backs, man, they talk all the time, man. When you hear them jokers talk, they have a different vision as far as like how they look at the game. They do. I mean, it's it's a whole different mindset as far as what they see because they can see the breathing hole, the anticipation, and all those different things happening. And so our job up front blocking for them is I just want to give you daylight to run. I want to give you just a little bit so you can see it. So I got to do my job. Half the time, some of those dudes weren't doing their job. Sorry, just wasn't. So,
yeah.
So I know we done. It's a good conversation to talk about. Actually, here's one right here that is very.
We're not even discussing running backs prospects today. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, we're not. I wanted to.
I think we better have a fair amount of them though after this conversation.
We can do it next week. Next week we'll have a good conversation on that.
There you go. Let's all bring running backs to the table next week. Next week will be our running back week.
Yeah, Chiefs fan 211. We'll do Raheem Sanders next week, buddy. I promise.
Yeah,
that's the South Carolina back.
So here's another topic on X. I like to call it Twitter. Nana Sherry says, so on a different topic, why did X go crazy with bringing back Willie Gay? What's the holdup, or is it the Chiefs don't want to sign him? Do y'all have an opinion on that? I do. So,
I mean, I can say just to have Willie Gay, I mean, probably one of the most athletic backers we've had in quite a long time. To have him back, we saw last year. We saw from the start of preseason all the way to the end of the season, we had tough times guarding running backs. And Willie Gay was that guy for us. Willie Gay was our guy who was going against the fast tight ends. He was going against the quick, like third down back type running backs. He was that guy. He was the athletic backer for us. And, he got signed for nearly nothing last year with the Saints, with a 1 year, $2.5 million deal or something. And we didn't sign him for that. We bring back Tranquil instead. He's a free agent again. Willie obviously wants to come back. He's liking every post of every player in Kansas City. He's still really close to all the guys there. So, obviously, Chiefs fan favorite. People love him. I think there's a need for it. Chanel's a free agent next year. We don't know if we're going to sign him. Tranquil, I think, has one more year left after next year.
After that, yeah, I think he has 2 from here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have Bolden still. So, I mean, like, you can never have enough of those linebacker types, especially a guy who's not breaking the bank. And someone who knows the system already. Now, I don't know if the Chiefs, I mean, based on last year tells you a lot. The fact that they didn't want to re-sign him last year for the amount of money that he signed is interesting because it wasn't like he broke the bank. I thought he was going to get a decent-sized payday. Didn't. I think he had some injuries this year as well. I don't think he played a lot with the New Orleans this year. But, again, free agent. I don't know why we're not getting it, but I know all the fans want him, and I'm Team Willie Gay. I'd be down to bring him back, especially at the price that he signed for last year.
So I think it does speak volumes to it on maybe why they didn't want to bring it back last year, and I don't quite know why that is. I do know maybe some of like schematically, some of the concerns of what might have aired Willie Gay, like being in the right position and spots to make plays. Even though he's very athletic, he recovers really well. But in this defense, you got to be very responsible and you got to be dedicated on what everybody's asking you to do. I mean, that's the best way of saying it. I had gotten some word that some people had said some things. I like Willie. Willie's an athletic guy, like you said. He knows it here. But what is the holdup? That's the question for me. What is the holdup? Does it have something else to do? Did something go on? I don't know. I have no idea why, if the price point is going to be somewhere, pretty easy. Yeah.
1 to 3 million Kareem Hunt money.
Yeah. So I don't know what went on behind closed doors. We don't know.
They might have other plans. It might not be about him. It might be more about what they feel comfortable doing moving forward.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. So a guy that's been in your defense, okay, who knows the system, what are the plans? If the price point is something that is easy to do, it's little money.
Yeah.
Why not do it? And maybe he don't want to come here to be a backup. Maybe he don't want to come here to be a rotational piece. And maybe he voiced that. He's like, "Look, man, I'm a star in this league." And sometimes these things do happen. Guys go places, get humbled. Now all of a sudden he's not there anymore in New Orleans either. So I don't know.
Time will tell.
So you don't have an opinion on Willie Gay, Tasia?
Oh, wanting him back? Yeah, sure. I'd take him back, especially on the cheap. Like, look, man, if I said I'm fine with Kareem Hunt coming back for price point sake, I mean, Willie Gay for price point sake would be great. He's still really young. I mean, the age of some of these guys come out, man. Willie Gay's like about the same age as some of these guys, so that are coming out of school. So, yeah, I'm totally for it. There's so much roster flexibility with our team just because you have so many future free agents coming. So, yeah, if you can help your depth out, especially with the guy who's been here before, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and talk about the youth. I know our fans love to talk about get younger. 27 years old is pretty young. So
yeah.
So
the system. I mean, he provides something and we do a lot of subbing at linebacker. Man, guys play. So even if he doesn't start, he'll get snaps. He'll get a lot of snaps. It's the NFL.
I'm pretty sure he was rotational in New Orleans last year as well. So it's not like he'd be taking a back seat coming to here, going from a starter to that. I mean, he was getting rotations last year in New Orleans. So
but that's the thing. I don't think it was a whole lot of rotation here. It wasn't actually. A lot of guys, we played the main three. That was it. Unless somebody was hurt. Unless somebody wasn't hurt, that's all you seen was, Tranquil, Chanel, and Bolton. That was it. Anyway, they didn't really trust anybody else on the field. And when they did put somebody else on the field, it looked like guys wasn't ready. And the question goes into does his presence on the field, does it compromise what you're trying to do schematically on defense? Because if a guy's at a position, he compromises everybody else around you. I'm sorry. That's how it works, man. This is what I'm hearing from other guys. I'm talking to other linebackers and stuff too, watching it. I'm just like, they watched like, oh man, there were some things we watched that it just wasn't sound in doing. And you can get away with it because you are so athletic to kind of recover. But that puts everybody else in a bad position. Like I was saying, if you cut off another linebacker or you cut off with safety coming down and rolling, or your coverage is not good, that could be a problem, an issue. No one's saying that's what Willie was saying. I'm just saying I'm hearing other guys say this. So I don't know. But time will tell. Time will tell. They ain't gonna just bring him back to swag, sir. Sorry, they ain't gonna do that. Hey, maybe we need swag now too. They ain't gonna bring him back to swag surf. So
it's a good point, because that's a lot of fans just keep posting that clip like, yeah, bring him back. We need a hype man on the sidelines. They're not paying a guy to be $1.5 million to be the hype man on the sidelines, and he's not coming back just to do that. He's not a mascot.
I hope they'll take $2 million to do that.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'd be okay with that. I know I will.
Dude, pay me $2 million. I'll come down swag.
That's what I said.
Hey.
Hand me pom poms. All right.
Duckins, gentlemen, do you think we draft a free safety? And do they keep Cook after this season? Thoughts? I do.
Yeah,
I think so. Maybe later on. Trying to find a GM.
Another position that I wouldn't be surprised at any point we drafted it, man. We have a lot of upcoming free agents. A lot of
it's not the deepest safety class, I will say that.
Positions.
They may have a gem they like, but as far as like what the experts are saying and kind of looking at the list of guys, it's not the deepest safety class. But there's a lot of guys. I mean, project wise, you can find them in the 6th and 7th round, which Beach likes to find the secondary guys late like that anyway. So I mean, you could definitely,
But who knows? We might not have been looking for a safety when we drafted Hicks, but maybe we just did because we were like, shoot, he was high on our board and he's there and it's a steal. Let's just do it. So you never know how the board falls. You might be at an advantageous position in draft where it's like, okay, I mean, we got to take him now. Let's grab him.
Well, I mean, they knew Justin Reed's contract was coming up too.
Yep.
Hey, I mean, ain't no secret.
That's why you got to be open-minded about, things that come up and you weren't expecting, but you're like, you know what? We're not going to re-sign all 4 of these guys. Maybe the fact that this guy's available in the 3rd round made it easier for us to let one of them go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also too, we don't know what's going to happen with the secondary itself. And we talked about last week, Nazi was a natural safety coming out of Marshall. We moved him, took him out of position last year. And, maybe they move him back to safety. I mean, who knows? They can do a lot of things with the secondary.
Yeah. And things have changed, too, with the market, because you start talking about Trent McDuffie as well. Staying to get $30 million. Dude, wow, my goodness, $30 million. Goodness gracious.
We talked about needs versus BPA last week, and I said one of the examples was cornerback. If there's a standout lockdown and he's there staring at you at a certain high position at pick, maybe you do that. You don't resign McDuffie. I hate that.
Hey, man. Yeah, hey,
30 mil is 30 mil, man.
30 mil is 30 mil. It's only going up. This is a business. This is a business. Yeah. So they knew the price point was going to be astronomical anyway. They knew.
So
they want Stingley and Sauce to set the market before. I mean, McDuffie's not signing anything until he sees what those two guys get.
And you said last week, I think you said you'd be okay with maybe signing McDuffie and bypassing not signing Karlaftis. So what if Karlaftis is like 18 a year, but McDuffie's 30 a year? Now who would you rather have?
It's a business, man. Oh, hey.
Yeah. It is.
Who's going to hurt you more? Right? Are you gonna pay him like the Bengals just gave a boatload of motor, just opened up the whole Brinks truck with Chase and Higgins up there? My goodness.
Yeah. And who can get you more in draft capital too? I mean, Duffy would bring more back in a trade.
No question.
Save money. You get rid of one need. You take care of another, and you bring back multiple picks for it. Right.
Yeah,
tough decisions, man. Like I said, our roster being as top heavy as we are, we're going to have more Tyreek Hill days ahead of us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, might be negative. We got it for 2 years at least. We could get him for this, and then of course we could, kick the can down the road, at least, tag him. We could definitely do that.
Yeah,
but
I mean, we saw the way
wait unless you get back in a trade. Keep that in mind.
What's that again?
The longer you wait, the less you get back in a trade. Keep that in mind.
I mean, hey, we saw we got out of the Snead trade last year, so if we can get that kind of return, I mean, a third or a second for McDuffie next year.
If he's a first team All Pro, he'll still be valued. That'll still be up there. It ain't gonna go nowhere. It just matter of fact, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bengals are gonna be a fun team to play. It's gonna be shootouts galore every time you play Cincinnati. All right, so now we're gonna get to the prospect side of things. I saw somebody ask about tight ends in there. So there's only one tight end we're talking about tonight. Which you're gonna enjoy that one, Chiefs fan 211. But yeah, guys, you guys ready to dig into the prospects?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, so JD is up first with Josh Simmons. JD, talk to us about Josh Simmons.
Oh man, oh my goodness. Well, I tell you what. Okay, and I told you I don't like doing these mock draft simulators and stuff like that. And guess what? I went down a rabbit hole yesterday. And every moment of it, I hated it. I did hate it. I was like, Dad, God, look at me. I'm over here and I'm trying to scrounge around and whatnot. And so, he's Josh Simmons, man. To me, it just makes sense. He's always, every time I looked at the simulator, he's always like a couple of picks before we get to us. So that means that it's a possibility he could necessarily fall into our lap. If teams aren't necessarily in love with him, I know we got a tackle in Jalen, but Josh Simmons makes sense to me. Why? Because he plays both left. When he went to Ohio State, played left, did an amazing job. You go watch his film, and I'm telling you, he is NFL ready. He is, without a doubt. The injury, of course, is a concern. How's he going to be able to rebound off of that? He's going to be the same guy. But before that, he was the number one tackle in the draft for me. There wasn't even anybody close, to be honest with you. As far as his athletic ability, being able to punch, his strength, all the attributes he had, he was the guy. If he falls to us, I say we go ahead and take him. And the reason I say that is because let's just say that Jawan Taylor is not here. He could play right because he played right before he got to Ohio State. And so you can move him over to right to play that. He's just that athletic. So he creates value for us immediately at that position. So he can play either left or right tackle, right? And so to me, it just makes a lot of sense. And I'm telling you, man, he's a violent tackle. Great hands, understands how to get to the second level. I mean, when I'm telling you, he's holding guys up. He's putting meat hooks on dudes and they cannot move. They just can't. He's a wall, man. He's an absolute wall. I would love for him to fall to us. If he falls to us, he gets to that point, man, I think you have to go ahead and pull the trigger on him. Because then all of a sudden it just takes care of tackles over the year. That's what you do. You got to have a solid guy for years to come to protect. Patrick Mahomes, he is a guy that you have to worry about. He is a dude that can absolutely come in here and play and be a starter. And you have to worry about what is he going to look like and all of that. The only question is the injury. But if he comes in and he heals himself, give him a little time, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be absolutely fine. Just think about DJ Humphries, a younger guy that had the injuries. Now, because he's younger, the healing process will be a lot better, be a lot quicker. But Josh Simmons, to me, man, he's the beast. He's a tackle to take. If we don't get him in the first round, I don't even want to go get a project. We probably might, but he's my guy. So
JD, is Simmons or bust as far as tackle goes in this draft?
Yeah, first round, absolutely, no question. So I just hope he gets to us.
Yeah.
So worried about two things at our position with Simmons. One would be Houston drafts, I think 5 or 6 slots ahead of us. and they've gutted their O-line. That would make the most sense if you're just looking at it on surface, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do they try to trade up for somebody and maybe get someone else they really like? I don't know, maybe because they need someone now because they don't have anyone there right now. So that would be the one thing I'm worried about. As Brennan said earlier, character slight issues. It's funny. I was looking at like Reddit chats earlier, and they were saying someone said Simmons has a case of the tonsillitis. Loves being flashy, drippy, not maybe the biggest leader. Because I heard Tunsil basically got outed from Houston because they wanted more leadership from the O-line, and he just wasn't giving it that for what he was costing. As far as play on the field, I don't know all about that character stuff with him, but from what I saw, and I'm a huge for anyone that wants to watch draft, guys talk about draft, talk about prospects, about guys that eat, sleep, and breathe scouting and watching hours and hours of film. NFL Stock Exchange, it's great. But they were saying if he had a full season, he'd be tackle one. Debatable, but they say he most likely be tackle one.
No question. Oh yeah. No question.
They say he's set up. He's an athlete, straight up athlete. He's balanced. He always keeps his feet under him. He's improved a lot too, they said. They called him a slightly less powerful Christian Darrisaw. That's what they said.
I'll take it.
Yeah, sure. He'll gain power. We'll get him that. We'll get him into a program. They just say the way he's so spread out and loaded before the snap and just explodes out of it when he comes out of it. It's like a crouching tiger, crouching tiger ready to attack stance. They said just fast feet, hard hands, balance. Just always does the right thing when you watch him. Just needs to get stronger because the whole Darrisaw thing. Again, the only thing against him is just he only played 5 games and didn't really get tested. He just dominated. I think Ohio State had more kind of like their cookie cutter scheduling early on, so he didn't really face the heavy of the heaviest out of their schedule, but he dominated it. Right, it was never a question.
One pressure. One pressure.
Yeah, he dominated it. It was just like it wasn't even. It was like a play against like high school kids. So it would have been nice to see him against maybe that more talented teams out there, but that's pretty much it, right? I mean, like, and you're getting him at 31. If that's the thing, everyone's like, well, I wish he showed more. Well, if he showed more, he wouldn't be available at 31. He'd be gone at a premier position that people trade first and second rounders for and spend 25, 30 million a year for. I mean, they're just not a cheap, cost-controlled guy at that position. Is not going to happen. So.
If you look at the year prior to the 2023 season, just looking at the stats here, only allowed 1 sack, 4 hits, 10 hurries, and he played the entire season there. So, I mean, like,
come on, man. I'm telling you, like,
it's the real deal.
Yeah. I looked at all the tackles, the top 5 that everybody's, singing praises on. The only one that shows up to me, game ready NFL tackle immediately is him. That's him. And so he's the guy. Somebody was talking about his arms. Yeah, look at that joker, man. He's the real deal, as advertised. It's just that knee. If that knee's okay and it comes back and he's that patella stays, the structure is still good and all of that, man. Shoot, I'd take him. I would.
Yeah, it definitely the body type there is very different from what we've talked about before on the show, JD. There's been certain tackles we've discussed who look like human candy apples with sticks for legs.
Oh, no, his build just great.
He's built phenomenally
and great bend. I mean, look at his bend even on that. Like he's just a great. There's no really questionable parts about him as a prospect. It's just the 5 games and getting injured. That's it.
I remember scouts when you go to the combine, when they look at you, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Look at him. Oh my gosh, it's incredible."
cigar in the mouth.
Yeah. Look at that specimen right there. Look at that. Oh my gosh.
Look at that.
Jeez,
that's good.
What are you gonna do with that, huh? Yeah.
That's good. We like that.
Look at those glutes. Look at those glutes as they walk by.
Salivate, man. Yeah,
that's good. We like that. Give me some more of that one right there. Yeah.
This is what coaches are gonna do too. They start feeling on your arms, your back, man. Look at you. Man, how you been doing? You living okay? Man, you look good. Thanks, go. Appreciate it. Hey, God, look at you.
Yes. So Josh Simmons, if he's there at 31, go get him, Veach. Go get him, baby.
Yes, sir.
All right, so now we're going to do a shift in a different direction here. Tasia, edge, baby.
Yeah. All right. So for some quick context, I really try to look at guys that we have a chance drafting based on availability. A lot of mocks and projections have these guys available at our picks. For instance, I do like a guy like Landon Jackson, but I just don't think he'll be there in the second round when we choose. So I'm not even going to talk about guys like that because I don't think we'll draft him in the first, and then I don't think he'll be there in the second. So it's kind of falling in between our sweet spots there. So Nick Scorton out of A&M, only 20 years old. He's scheme versatile. He's strong enough to kick inside to change things up. Or he has an array of pass rushing moves. He can change it up every play. He can show a tackle something different almost every play. High motor on top of it all. So he's not just an athletic freak. He brings it every single play, which I love. So what's really interesting about him is that he's coming off a 2023 season at Purdue. A lot of scouts had him as a top 10 pick and maybe the best rusher in the draft. The problem is, and the reason why he's there at 31 and not a top 10 pick, is that he had a falling off at Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. He did not look – I mean, the guys that saw him play just said he just didn't look like the same player at all. High pad level inconsistency developed at Tech, less tenacity, just not as violent. Just his playing style changed at Texas A&M. As far as inconsistencies, they say he launches off his back foot, which can be corrected. Just play with generally more fire at Purdue, had more moves at Purdue. Maybe some people think he might have gotten a little too big at A&M. That might have hurt him, a loss of his agility. But just to table all of that, right? He won 17% of his reps in 2024 at A&M, a down year for him, right? He was coming off 21.3 at Purdue the year before, which was the best in the nation. So even his down was still 17%, right? So even somewhere in between those two, you're talking about like an elite DN. One of the counters I also saw to his drop-off from Purdue to A&M was that he just wasn't asked to do the same things there. Pretty much all the A&M guys, if you look at all three of them, Turner, Stewart, and him, they all had major drop-offs this last year, and you're like, man, 3 studs on the D-line, and they all underperform. That's kind of weird, right? Not if they're just – it might have been an A&M problem, right? So maybe he was just being used more as a run-stopping DN, which is good and bad. So for us at 31 who can watch Purdue tape and see his pass rushing capabilities on top of his effectiveness to stopping the run in 2024, that's amazing. Bad for him because he was a top 10 pick going into the year, now to the late 20s and 30s. So that's my general thoughts on him. Player comps, multiple sites have Trey Hendrickson, and I saw Cameron Jordan, another comp.
Pretty good comps.
Hey. Oh, what? Okay. Yeah, you finished, Taste?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So watching this film, man, and all the concerns you was talking about kind of jumped out. Wasn't my top guy that as far as edge rusher. I think he's okay. I think he does bring it. He does have a lot of fire, a lot of energy to the tape. Sometimes it just doesn't translate to the plays that you want him to, and I think that's part of his problem. 6'3", 257 is what they have. Gaining that size. I mean, we could definitely use him. The thing is, when you getting on this level in NFL, how's the transition going to be, right? And I think about guys like FAU. Is he going to fall into that category? Because if he's down at Texas A&M, it doesn't really translate on the field like you want it to. Is it going to be the same problem when you get up here to the NFL? And the thing is, it's only going to magnify itself even more. Joe Cullen, I seen he was talking about Joe Cullen and get him right. Joe Cullen's had FAU here too.
Yeah.
It's really on the player, development of the player. You can do everything you need to do to get the guy out there and say, man, like, look, shoot, can you be that stud for us? He has a great motor. He does. He has a great motor, man. I've seen him, make some plays, running things down on screens and stuff. He does a good job of that. But is he going to be a game changer? I think at that position, at edge, we need a guy that's going to be a game changer, especially at edge, is what we're looking for.
So when you're drafting him, I think you're drafting him hoping that he's Purdue Scourton and not A&M Scourton, right? You're hoping that something happened, the coaching changed, they asked you to do something different, that you maybe, took a backseat and maybe became more of a team guy to ask him to be more of a, a run-stopping DN. Okay, I'll do what you need me to do. They're hoping that if you're drafting him that high, you're hoping he's the Purdue Scourton, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I think. If you're drafting him at 31, that's what you're doing, right? You're drafting him hoping we need to go back to that. I don't know if it was coaching. I don't know what it was, dude, but let's see Purdue again. So if you watch A&M, I'd urge you to go watch the Purdue, because you're going to be like, dude, where is this? So his down year is still highly productive. Just when you're coming into the year as him being your top 3 edge, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, maybe 31. It's a big difference, right? So it's interesting.
I was just gonna say, obviously he went to Purdue, right? And do you guys see any kind of Karlaftis compare? I mean, he went to Purdue, and I'm looking Karlaftis' numbers at Purdue. He never got close to the 10 sacks that Scouting got where he was there, Scourton got while he was there. 7.5 was Karlaftis' highest when he was at Purdue. Let's see, we got 10 sacks here for Scourton. Karlaftis measured at 6'4", 266 at the combine, and 263, 257 here. So a little bit of the difference in the size.
It's interesting you say that, because NFL.com's Lance Zierlein, great analyst, his comp is Hendrickson, but in his one little tagline, sources tell us, it's he plays his tail off and he's always in the middle of everything. He's a forced player like George Karlaftis coming out, but Scourton has a little more rush to him. So a more refined Karlaftis is pretty much what the scouts are telling him. That's an AFC scout. Probably ours.
What do you think about that, JD, as far as a Karlaftis comparison? When you say you want someone who's got a little bit more juice, kind of more flash to him, if we got a guy who was like another Karlaftis type, is that something you would be fine with? I mean, because we've hit and miss so far we've hit and miss with FAU, right? So obviously I take a Karlaftis at this point, even a Karlaftis production somewhat for FAU. I'd love that. But I mean, is that what you're saying? We're talking about like a playmaker kind of guy from the edge spot. Would Karlaftis play be a playmaker type?
Trey Hendrickson that's a different animal altogether, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a little leery as far as like comparing him to that. I don't see that in him. But relentless, coming off the edge and stuff. Yeah, he shows flashes. Would I take that? Sure. I mean, would it be a first round pick? I would look more so like a game changer for a guy, pass rusher, as opposed to getting another Karlaftis. I think Karlaftis, what we wanted was a guy that was relentless, guy that was going to come after you, which we've seen Karlaftis do. But that's his MO, right? And he's done a very good job of that.
You want more of a finesse speed rusher on the other side of a high motor guy.
I need a guy that's going to be able to dominate, like take a game over. And so when you have one-on-one, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for someone that teams have to scheme up who they want to block. Like when he's out there, you got to sit there and say, look, we got to block this guy. If he don't, he's going to dominate the game. And so there's a few guys obviously that's coming out in the draft that have somewhat of that ability to them. He's not that guy. Even Stewart, who was down there Texas A&M, the other guy you was talking about, who's going to be a higher pick than him. His didn't translate into like a lot of.
No, he had a down year at A&M too.
Yeah, he had a lot of sacks. They were sitting there like, man,
it's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah,
and they have another top 3 round guy. I think Shamari Turner is another one.
Turner as well.
They had 3 guys in the top 2 rounds, and they didn't really kill it. It's really weird.
So they really make a whole lot of sense to me. But if you're gonna get a first round pick, he's got to be the dude. He's got to be a guy. He has to be someone that is absolutely going to terrorize tackles and offenses, like almost every single play. Like Trey Hendrickson, God, we got Trey today, and you're looking at the tackle over there, man, and that joker's knees is shaking. And you're like, what's going on? Like, Trey is showing up today. Oh, okay. Good luck. I help you out when you need it. You call for it, I help you. And so you got to do chips and stuff like that. I don't know if he warrants that type of attention. So
yeah, Kingsley learned the hard way with meeting Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah. You out, help,
man. Would you also agree, because he's more of a high motor kind of guy, if they did draft him, let's say at 31 they draft him, does that kind of give you a little insight into what Veach is thinking as far as next year with Karlaftis? Maybe you kind of replaces Karlaftis. Would that be kind of a redundancy of skill from a guy like this to replace Karlaftis? The next year, maybe they say, hey, we're not going to resign Karlaftis. We're going to go the McDuffie route.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility for sure. I think you can't have too many of those high motor guys that's going to get after people. But like Bobby Negative says, he was or Duncan to say, if you're George, also have Frank Clark, and how Lee helped him learn the ways of the NFL. And so you need a guy that complements all the guys that you have. Like, we need pressures, we need sacks.
Yeah,
that's what we haven't had. We had a stout run defense that's done very well for us. But what we need to help our corners, our safeties out, our linebackers. The way that you do that is you get go-getters. You get guys that are studs on the outside that can absolutely get after the quarterback, that gives them fits. And that's what we need. We need that guy. So
I will say he's not considered like just a high motor guy. I will say that. He has like an array of moves. So he's not one of those I'll just get to him eventually type guys. Because my next guy, spoiler alert, is more of those guys, and that's the difference between those two. He does have a fine. They say he doesn't give a tackle 2 moves in a row. He sets people up for counters. Like, he's got a inside move, a spin move, Euro step. He does do it. Again, it just went south from Purdue to A&M. So he does. He also has the high motor, which is awesome.
Yeah.
If he had 2 years, like they said, if he had another year like Purdue, he'd be a top 10 pick right now. But there's a reason why these guys are available at 31, or maybe available at 31.
Yeah. Yeah. Should be interesting here. Okay, so you guys went more high caliber kind of guys with your first picks. My guy's more of a late round 2, round 3 kind of guy. If we're lucky, round 4 maybe. So my guy is Elijah Arroyo, tight end from the University of Miami, from the U. So love Elijah Arroyo, a guy who really came on a lot of people's radars after the Senior Bowl. During the year, he had a pretty decent season. It was his career best in every category. Really dominated with Cam Ward. Obviously, Cam Ward's probably going to be the number 1 pick in this draft, so high caliber quarterback. Top-tier quarterback, elevates his game, so you love to see that he could play with a guy like Cam Ward. So a little bit about Elijah Arroyo. Works as a slot receiver a lot of times and also an H-back for the Hurricanes. Thing was, they saw it in his route running in college this past year. He was mostly doing, seam routes, not really much kind of versatility in his route running. But he went to the Senior Bowl, one-on-ones, you kind of saw his polished, kind of crisp route running. He kind of showed off a lot. I mean, the guy's got a lot to his game, a lot of juice. And if we're talking about years after Travis Kelce, you kind of want a guy who's got a little bit of juice, a little wiggle, and he does. Effective in finding soft spots in the zone coverages, has the size to drive consistently, to fight for extra yards. Natural receiver, great hands. That's the one thing everyone, whether you're talking about running seams, running any kind of routes, I mean, this guy had great hands. Now, one of the things, obviously, we're talking about a guy who's a primarily receiving kind of tight end. Blocking, not a strong suit. Not a strong suit. A lot of scouts say that's kind of the one thing. And of course, JD, we talk about this all the time. Modern day tight ends, a lot of these guys aren't the strongest in blocking now. This is not. I don't know if it's not taught properly, but it's not the strong suit anymore for these tight ends. It's become like an afterthought in the game of tight ends. But again, being able to play with Travis Kelce, being able to be in the system, you can learn from Trav. But yeah, has the speed. Did not run at the combine. I don't think he did any workouts at the combine. He'll be working out next week. I believe it's the 24th for the Miami Hurricanes Pro Day. So we get to see him do his 40-yard dash. Big thing with him is injuries. And I know I've talked about him a lot online. He's kind of dealt with some injuries. Got tore his ACL in the midway through the 2022 season, which kind of took him away from majority of the 2023 season. So when you tear the ACL, obviously it's a big thing. And he talked about it at the combine. And also, too, at the combine, we also learned from Elijah Arroyo that at the Senior Bowl, the Chiefs talked to him. He interviewed with the Chiefs. He said he really just talked about his medical history with them. That's all I really talked about with the Chiefs. So I don't know if the Chiefs are not letting their hand too much, but just only talking about his injury, his medical records. But that's pretty much what he said as far as talking to the Kansas City Chiefs. But again, natural pass catcher. He's got the juice, got the wiggle, and we're talking about life after Kelce. I know Noah Gray's been a solid tight end for us, and I think we have Noah Gray for 2 more years, I believe. I think he's had a 3-year deal last year, so 2 more years with Noah Gray.
Might be 3, actually.
Okay. Yeah, 3 years. So if we're talking about preparing for life after Kelce, you want a guy who can be that guy as far as route running, who has the wiggle, who has that juice, who can kind of, do what Kelce does in a way, right? I'm not saying he's going to be Travis Kelce, but someone who can show off that. Elijah Arroyo is that. Now we're lucky that we have a tight end as our co-host here. So JD, I know you were wanting to talk about Elijah Arroyo tonight, but this is a guy that I love him. I just watch his highlights, watching Miami games this year. He stood out. But obviously not as much as he did during the Senior Bowl, which everyone loved, his route running, and that's where he kind of boosted up on everybody's charts. Now they're talking about him being a possible round 2 guy, maybe as late as round 4, but it's going to go within the rounds 2 to 4 during this draft. What do you make of Elijah Arroyo, and how does he fit in Kansas City as far as being maybe the takeover of Travis Kelce?
I think he's a very talented tight end. I do believe, you're talking about Senior Bowl and him running. I mean, he should be open. If you run one-on-ones, you better get open. If you don't, then it ain't really worth much. I'm for real, be honest with you. That's just, shoot. You lose, win on one-on-one. That's, hey, man, that's as easy as you can make it. Shoot. And so he's just doing what he's supposed to do. But watching this film, I think he does have a little wiggle to him. And I think this is kind of comparable somewhat to Travis Kelce. He's not a burner, but he's athletic enough to actually get open. And so he's got pretty good hands. He's got a good frame in his, as far as the way he looks athletic. It's just a long line of Miami tight ends. This is who they get down there. They're looking for guys like that, right? Playmakers. And so this Elijah Arroyo, man, to me is I think it's a good fit. I think he might drop to about 3rd or 4th round, to be honest with you.
I don't think so. No way. He's just so different than all the other tight ends. That's the only thing that's going to boost him. Like, all those guys are very similar, right? The guys that everyone's hyping up, the Texas one, Terrence Ferguson. He's he's got so much juice compared to some of those guys.
I mean, you could say that, but teams may not be on it. They were like, okay, well, we need a guy.
Yeah, sure. I mean, his medicals don't check out. He's definitely lasting to the 4th at that point.
Yeah, well, so we look at like receptions, 35 receptions, right? 7 touchdowns. Would you is he going to be a staple of your offense? That's the question. Is can he get you like a McBride? Can he get you something like that? Can he get what other guys are getting out there? I don't know if he can. That remains to be seen. I do believe he does fall probably to third or fourth round. It just depends on what the need is, for teams. He'll be a great pickup for us, even though we got Noah Gray, Jared Wiley. He can learn a lot from Travis Kelce. He can learn a lot from him, and if he's learning how we do our offense, he'll be a dangerous guy. He'll be a dangerous guy, and we like multi-set tight ends anyway. So 2 tight end sets, 12, 13 personnel. That's right up our alley. And so if he learns, like I said, a lot, like how to get open in routes, what Kelce does, it just helps us out even more. So that's the thing. Like I said, he's definitely not a burner, but he can catch the football and he can get open. He's very athletic in space. So yeah, we could utilize him. We could definitely utilize him.
What do you make of his blocking?
I haven't really seen a whole lot of that.
Okay.
I haven't. So, I'll go and check it out. But if they're sitting there saying like that's not his forte, and you look at a guy and he gets in a little frog stance coming off the football.
Yeah, the scouting report I'm looking at right now. So the pro for him is physical blocker that always plays through the whistle. But a con for him, as I love these things because they always contradict each other. But the con for him is he needs refinement as a blocker off the line. So he needs refinement, but he also plays through the whistle as a blocker. So he's obviously a willing blocker, but needs refinement there. So
that could just be technique. It could be steps coming off the football. Like if he's willing, that means he plays to the whistle. So he'll get engaged with guys. He may not just win it initially. But he might just be able to, clean guys up over the pile, or he'll stay on them. So the will and the want to, that you can work with that. Technique is something that you can get him better at. Dropping off the football, working on his feet, the speed of his, the quickness of his hips coming in on the block. All those things are something that he can improve on. Are we asking him to do things like that? That's the question. But yeah, I like it. As long as he has the will and the want to the block, that I could work with that. Definitely. We can make it better.
I got a couple of nuggets on him if you want to hear it. So moved to Cancun when he was 6. He basically learned how to play football in Cancun. He lived there till he was like 11 or 12. 1 drop and 47 targets. And most of those came on like vertical routes too. So that's impressive. They're not just like little curls that he caught. Like he's dropping 1 on verticals. You know what I mean? 11 yards average depth of target and 94 percentile in yards after catch. So from the scout that said it too, those are so rare to have both those things because usually you have one or the other, but the fact that he has both just
what was it? Say it again.
94 percentile in yards after catch. So his yards after catch is really high.
Yeah.
But he also has a 11 yards average depth of target. So he's catching deep and he's breaking them once he has them.
Mm-hmm.
You guys hit it on the head. And from what I read, doesn't have the technique, but he definitely plays with an edge. Like he has a nasty demeanor and he gives a lot of effort. So that's why it's kind of a plus and a minus. It's not there, but he tries really hard. So it's like, okay, well then, because one of the things is do you avoid physicality? Do you just kind of like lay and just, kind of just push your way into the whistle blows? Like he tries, he just doesn't, it's just not there. Right.
Yeah.
But just overall, just his athletic profile and versatility, I just think someone in that second round, early third, latest is going to be like, man, I'm going to draw up these plays with him. Like I got packages for him, man. That's what I just think someone's going to pull the trigger on that on the earlier side of it, just because they're just going to salivate the potential of what they can draw up for him.
I mean, I thought the Broncos were a big team because, I mean, if you watch his interview at the Combine, all the questions were about, I guess the Denver reporters really thought they were going to get him. And they can still very well get him, but they spent a pretty penny on Evan Ingram. So I think that might take them out of the running for him. But
Possibly 2 years, though, right? So it's not like it's a long-term contract by any means.
Yeah, but we're talking about life after Kelsey starting this year, right? Where they at least
for sure. Yeah.
So we shall see. So but JD, when I heard you wanted to talk with Elijah Roy, I was very happy about that because I was okay. That's good. I'm on the right page when I look at my tight ends.
Yeah. Like I said, I think he's probably a third rounder. I think I really do. In my mocks, that's where he was right there about third. Maybe slipped to a fourth. I think one of them I picked him up, but he's now he reminds me of like an Irv Smith. He looks what Irv Smith would be if we had him here. He just kind of looks like him. He's got that little swag kind of to him. That's what I like about him. I do like his juice. I like how he plays. I like how he plays ball. I do. He's competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his route running, the way he runs, and his after catch, that's more juice like Kelsey rather than more so no Gray or Wiley bring, right? They're solid tight ends, but as far as we're talking about trying to mimic Kelsey, he probably fits more along those lines.
Yeah, very, very athletic. He can be very crafty. That's what I was saying. Like this offense, he could fit well in the things that we do, for sure.
If he brings it that pro day and runs a fast 40, forget about it. Someone's going to fall in love with that 4.5.
Oh, Veach did interview him, so Veach.
I hope so. If it doesn't run 4.5, I'm like, get him here. Get him.
Yeah, you forget about it at that point. I think it was the first round to get him.
It looks like his last 40 times. So was this Draft Buzz compiles all the combine stuff and all that stuff. But it looks like his last 40 time was 4.69 40. Yeah. Which you kind of see, he's not a burner by any means, but he's got hips, man. He's got the juice. Yeah. All right, so JD, your second guy here, brother, TJ Sanders. You were raving about him last week on the show, so I'm very happy you're talking about him tonight.
Yeah, you know what? He's a guy. He's another high motor guy. He would pick up where Turk Warrington left off, is what I think. Playing a 3 technique and move out to 5. He could play up and down that line. That's what I love about his versatility. Where he strikes with his hands. He's very quick, very efficient in those small areas, like to be able to shed blockers and get off. I like TJ Sanders a lot, and I've watched a lot of his film, just checking him out. I've seen him play up here against UK, and he's always a disruptor. The thing about it, like I like his size. When you're sitting there and you kind of, you're looking at him, he kind of reminds you like Chris Jones. I think he's somebody who can maybe mold into a guy like that. Watching Chris, if you have somebody on the side of you and you watch how he dominates, those are the things like I think at the D line you could definitely mimic. Being violent with your hands, being quick, he has that quickness. But I like TJ Sanders a lot, man. And he's another high motor guy. He just doesn't quit. He just does not quit. And I think because at least this is me. This is my assessment. And like in his head, he may feel like he might be a little undersized. Doesn't really get the type of pub as he should, South Carolina. And I think he kind of plays with a little chip on the shoulder. So I think he'll be maybe a second round pick, late round. You kind of get him. Every time I try to get him after that, he's never available, man. I think he's ranked like 35th or something total as far as like in the draft, man. He's a pretty big deal. And teams like him because they know what they're going to get. And so when you have a guy like this, when I'm talking about pressures, he's a guy that can generate pressures from his position, playing 3, 5. He can even go there for the shade if you wanted to. That's where you can use him. So that's what I like about it. Shoot, you could move him out there if you wanted to. Why? We have Dana and all those guys. He could do that too. So that's what I love about it. Just the versatility, the way he can play up and down the line, especially if we don't know what we're going to do with a Minahu. That too. We don't know what we're going to do with a Minahu. Minahu's out there. We don't know how everything's going to look. But TJ Sanders is an absolute animal right there on the defensive line. So I like him a lot. If you ain't checked him out, man, go check out his film. He's a solid guy. So,
Tasia, your thoughts on TJ Sanders, man?
So I listened to about like 20 or 25 D tackles profiles, and they said he was like probably one of, if not the best, like bull rush extraordinaire. Like if you want to watch someone, if you're a big bull rush fan out there, watch TJ Sanders. The explosion he has off the bull rush, that's just his go-to move, man. He attacks the gap. He's not a space eater by any means. He's not taking on doubles. He is just an internal pass rush, bull rush, go hit it guy you have up there. Just a one gap rush is going to hit it. Former tight end and basketball player, average a double actually.
I love him.
So great hand swipe, 94 percentile at pass rush. The player comps I saw were kind of Rankins-ish and Quentin Jefferson were the comps I saw for him.
I mean, look, and this is where's he been kind of slotted to go as far as mock drafts and what experts are saying? Where is he? Is he second, third?
Yeah.
So
like I said, one of those three picks for us, or late second, early third, late third.
Yeah, if he's singing around, which I doubt he will be, I mean, you got to pick him up. Yeah, I mean, you had to, especially like with teams they've just been signing defensive tackles, all these other places for the type of money they've been getting. This is a guy that you'll have it for a number of years that can disrupt everybody on the line of scrimmage. That's why I like him. That's why I like him a lot because you got him for the long haul. And so how he was talking about Karlaftis and all those different guys, what it's going to be. Well, shoot, this guy right here plays immediately. There's no question about it. And so when you leave, Nandi goes, Turk leaves, a minute who we don't know nothing about. Same thing, Pennell. You want a guy to come in and play immediately right now to make an impact, he can do it. He can do it. So, like you said, I don't think he dominates double teams, but he'll hold up. His quickness does that, so that's what he'll be able to just, get in between double teams, if anything. So
he's one of the better gap shooters in the interior in the draft.
Absolutely. And what we do, we play kind of balanced for that other guy from that shade of that three. And we need a dude that's going to be able to get in that gap immediately and quick. That's what you do. So it don't matter, like running backs, quarterbacks, like you said, bull rushing. If I'm walking you back to the quarterback we need a guy like that.
Yeah.
Besides Chris Jones.
I think he'd be best at a rotational pass rushing tackle. Have him fresh every time he runs. So that bull rush just runs hot. You don't get him tired. We've had a lot of rotations in the interior D-line anyway, so it wouldn't surprise me to see us do that.
Yeah, this is the draft. Kind of to your point, JD. You're seeing all these defensive tackles get paid and get a lot of money. This is a draft to go get two. Because I've been doing my mock drafts, and I'm getting two defensive tackles in most of my mocks. I'm getting two defensive tackles within rounds 1 through 4. I'm getting at least 2 DTs within that, right? Because I just think this is a draft. How do you not do that? How do you not come away with it? And especially, with Turk Wharton gone, we don't know if Pennell's coming back. I mean, there's a lot of influx with our D line right now, and I think in this draft you got to go at least 2 DTs in this draft, man, and just have those guys constantly rotating to have fresh dudes up the gut with Chris, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, and I hope Veach does that.
I do too.
All right, so Tasia, take us away with this guy here, buddy.
So more so of the we were talking about it earlier. The difference is the high motor guys who just do it through hard work, and then you have guys that do it a little bit more finesse. This is a high motor guy here. Tuimaloa, how you pronounce it? 5-star recruit. 12.5 sacks, 47 pressures, scholarship offers to basketball. He was like the main player on his basketball team. He had scholarship offers to Oregon and Washington. So no joke as far as he played basketball. He played basketball at a high level too, right? From what I read, not an insane amount of creativity, just wears down O-line. He has heavy hands, has a massive two-handed swipe. He's gone against, talk about the differences of certain players, he's gone against the highest level of tackles. He went against Fashanu last year, Alt last year, and all the other high-end tackles coming on this year. So he's played against the best of the best and had good stats. Amazing against the run, really reliable, just a power effort motor. I kept hearing the cliche, just a winning player, just a winner. 91 percentile run grade. He understands offenses, understands run concepts like a coach on the field. And I read this is great. So he makes the end zone his personal property and has a different gear around the goal line. So he just thinks it's his house and you can't get there, which I just love. I love hearing that, man. Burst, bend, and twitch athleticism's limited. It usually goes along with the high motor guys, right? A hard hat, power profile rusher. Bust rate extremely low. You know you're getting at him. He's going to be a high floor player, and he's pretty much ready. They said NFL ready like right now. He's a guy you not be surprised in 5 years if he's just been your 5-year starter. And how did he get there in the draft?
I watched him on film, and everything you said, I think he's a solid guy. Like you said, he's a hard hat. He's going to come in, he's going to work hard, he's going to play hard every single play. Does he generate that same thing, the pass rush that you need? That's the question. And he just,
yes,
he doesn't. He doesn't wow you in that department. But he's a solid guy. He's a solid guy. He has, IQ to be able to see, and I watch it for guys. If I see him on film, does he stand out to me? And there's times you gotta look. I think Sawyer might be the other guy that to me is a tad better than him. But I do like him. I like his length. I like the length in itself, the size that he has. He'll be a solid guy, like you said, kind of rotational piece to help out. So, I like him. I think he's a good player. I think he's a really good player. And so, my thing is, and I think he can get better. He's a guy I think that can actually get better, playing more in the league. And I think sometimes when you get a guy that, comes into the NFL, he realizes and figures it out like, okay, I got it. He could be a monster. That's what you would hope he'll turn into. I like his background, like you sit there and said, Tage, his basketball background. Sometimes with that, you don't see guys that have that basketball background as physical as you want him to be.
Yeah, true.
And so that could be part of the issue. Is he a basketball player first, playing football? That's the question. Or is he a football playing basketball? So, 6'4", 265. They talk about his bend coming around there. It didn't really have a whole lot of bend.
Yep.
So
he would be more like two Georges on both sides.
Yeah.
More so than Scorton. I think Scorton has way more finesse and way more array of pass rushing moves, way more freaky.
Yeah.
I think Tuamaloa is more like having just a George and a George on both sides. Which, hey, man, with the Chris Jones sandwich in between as the patty, that's all right. I mean, two guys that will go to war with you every single time, and then Jones in the middle. And if you get a D tackle who can, hit the gap, then man.
Yeah. Question is he going to press back that tackle? He's going to be able to press him back, get him into that cage rush with Chris Jones and JT Sam. Them jokers could, make something like that happen. So, feel the pressure from around him.
I love that he's played against all the high-end tackles over the last couple of years too. That's good. It's not. You're not wondering if he could do it against NFL talent. He's playing against NFL talent every single week.
Right.
Yeah. That's the beauty of the Big Ten. These conferences getting smaller, and we're not smaller, but like getting bigger. But they have to play each other, so they're going to have to play against the other NFL talent.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm curious on this though, because like obviously, great stats and all the things you said there, Tasia. I'm just curious, how do you kind of, when you watch these the tape, JD? Obviously, Ohio State on both sides of the ball was powerhouse this year. They obviously won the whole thing, but I mean, you got Ty Hamilton and Tyreek Williams and DT next to him, and then on the other side you have the what's his name? The Sawyer. Yeah. How are you judging like the edge rush guys who have two dudes who are probably gonna be drafted within the rounds, maybe 1 to 4 between Tyreek Williams and Ty Hamilton? How do you measure what you're looking at for edge rushers who have amazing talent right next to them all throughout their D line? Because that obviously makes his job a lot easier. Like, I mean, would JT have 12.5 sacks playing on ECU's defensive line? I mean, I'm just curious. How do you kind of look at edge rush play when they play next to talent like Tyreek Williams and Ty Hamilton and Sawyer on the other side?
So I look at it, if a guy has one-on-one, okay, and he's consistent on beating guys, and also to that first step explosion. If you have like your hands, are they fast? Or do you have an array of moves for your bag? So when I'm sitting over here and I'm looking at a guy, I'm looking at the guys I've been through and I watched, that I played against. I've seen the best. I know what the best looks like. And so I'm looking for that guy to jump out on tape for me, going against, certain guys. So sometimes I look at, like, for me, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm like, could I block this dude? Could this dude get around me on Sundays? So when I worked the combine, I remember we had a conversation with defensive ends, and I was talking to the top combine guy. He said, look, I'm going to tell you something. You see this guy right here, Jason Dunn? I want to know if you can get around him on Sundays. That's the question. So when I look at a guy, I'm wondering, does he look like, Julius Peppers? Does he look like Willie McGinnis? All those. I'm going to start naming guys, right? Does he look like a Sean Merriman? Who is he? Who is this guy? Is he going to give me fits? So that's what I check out. I'm looking at his power, how disruptive that he is. Because you can have a high motor guy, but if he ain't going nowhere and you just high motor, just like this, like the hand slapping, right? Right. Hey, man. Hey, you doing all of that it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? Making a lot of noise, ain't doing nothing. So, especially at that defensive end, I that's how I look at it. I'm watching the guy, and he's got to immediately jump out on tape for me. Immediately. If I don't see you, and it takes you a while to get into to see you on tape, and you kind of fall into a sack here and there, okay, all right, what's it going to look like on Sunday? So the 12.5 sacks are impressive. They are. But that is part of his, because he is a high motor guy. He's relentless.
He has a lot of what they call cleanup sacks.
Absolutely. And so on the other side, Sawyer, those guys they're going to try to escape from him.
Sawyer too.
He gets it. Yeah.
And Sawyer has a lot of cleanup sacks too.
Right. So that's
and that's why, having the guys in the middle, like the Ty Hamiltons and Tyreek Williams, that's why it also helps out having those guys plugging and doing what they do in the middle of the pack there, and then Sawyer and he and JT get the cleanup sacks. So
a lot of people actually have him higher than Sawyer, and this is the reason why. Arm length 2 inches longer than Sawyer, wingspan 5 inches longer than Sawyer. So it's a big difference, and that's not even because JT's wing and arm is extremely long. Sawyer is just
so short.
He measured real short, man. He measured real short. 77 wingspan.
Yeah.
That was one of the shortest that they measured.
But if that wingspan ain't getting you, it don't even matter. If you ain't got no power with that wingspan, it don't even, shoot. You're out there looking like Lurch.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Little short arm guys, they could push you back. And Sawyer gives you that because he brings a lot of power and relentless, to the pass rush. He does a great job, man. I like him too.
Yep.
Yeah,
same thing with Sawyer too. I think Sawyer would be like having two Georges. Very similar.
Yeah. High motor guys.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs fan 211. I'm guessing Tyreek is the reason they can have two high motor guys on the edge.
Yeah.
That definitely helps.
Absolutely.
Well, we do have Jones, so it's pretty simple. You come here and have a guy in the middle that can dominate too. So,
Hey, why don't you get JT and Tyreek? Sign me up. Sign me up for both those guys.
I mean, dude, you do that. That's a friggin' fierce D line you got there, man. George, Jones, Tyreek, and JT. I mean, you got 4 dudes to play the run and the pass. You got 4 dudes on stop. You got, man, that's crazy. I love that. I mean, man.
Yeah. Veach and the scouting department play this really well by allowing this to kind of be the draft where we need to get the D line types. They play free agency in the draft really well. They must. I mean, obviously the scouting department is looking years ahead, right? So they knew like this is the draft for the D line, and he made reference of that at the combine when he talked about this being the defensive line as being the kind of in the trenches is where they needed to go. And also watched our show and saw JD's priorities. That's what that was.
I'm thinking the first 5 picks that we have.
Uh-oh. It's on the record?
Huh? Yeah.
It's on the record?
I think we find probably maybe, like you said, 1 defensive end and maybe 2 defensive tackles. I do.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be sold in on that. And I think it's where we're asking about getting that halfback everybody's talking about. I think we get another one of those running back. I do believe we get somebody. So
I also think we trade and get another. I think we get a 5th rounder for sure. There's no way in heck we get through this draft and not have a 5th rounder in it. No way. Too much talent spewing out in those middle rounds, man.
Yeah.
Who would you go with, Tage? Who would you look for as far as position wise? Would you go for wide? Like everybody wants wide receiver. Would you go corner?
What in like 5th or just in general?
Yeah, 5th. Like just I mean, in general, 5th round. If you could have anybody, would you say, okay, do I go after a wide receiver at this level?
I usually don't go receiver that late when I do my mocks. I usually get receiver, one of the guys I like at the third, at the early 3rd or the late 3rd is what I do. Okay. I'm a nerd, so most of the time when I spend my 15 minutes on a mock draft, I usually trade out. You're gonna laugh. I trade from 66 or 63. I trade that to Dallas at 76, and I pick up like 2 5ths is what I do.
Yeah, okay.
Because at 76, you still get your cream of the crop of the receivers that I like.
Yeah.
And then you get 2 5ths out of it in this draft, which I just, man. But usually in the 5th, to answer your original question, a lot of times I get our future right tackle if we don't go tackle early. And then I get our cornerback there, our sticky man coverage or press man cover corner is what I usually do in the 5th.
Okay. Who have you been picking up wide receiver wise? You say you've been doing that kind of early 3rd.
You get a little spoiler alert for this. No, it's interesting. I listened to a lot of tape breakdown of receivers. I went into it liking some guys that I actually like a little less. I know Marcus and I haven't talked about this since I've done that. I'm a little out of the Bond game. For a lot of bad things of Bond.
Okay.
For a lot of bad things. But going into it, I love what he brought. I like my 2 favorites in the 2nd and 3rd round, I think right now, not the 1st round nonsense. I'm not doing that. But I wouldn't hate it for its own reasons because receivers are expensive, as we Bengals just found out. I like Knoll from Iowa State, and I like Restrepo from Miami. I go into the whole receiver thing as we got our yak monster in Rice, and we got our kind of our deep threat / kind of becoming do-it-all guy for Worthy. I personally think when I look, I want a guy who can fill in what Kelsey's going to be leaving us. A guy who has an innate ability to find a soft spot in the zone, who knows how to play a DB's coverage off of them and find that open area, who's just got a really high IQ, who can get open in the middle of the field. I usually go and who can also play. Like Restrepo would be straight slot middle. But Noel, he started as that, but I mean he's been killing it in the workouts. He killed it at the Senior Bowl. So he can play everywhere. But yeah, those are my 2 second, third round receivers that I would go if we did that.
I like Noah a lot too. I'm gonna tell you somebody that I like. I don't think a lot of people are on, but I think he fits perfectly in what we do, and I like him in later rounds.
Yeah.
That's Tez Johnson.
Yeah.
Like Tez Johnson, man. I think he fits into – so then all of a sudden you got the returner. You got the guy that can do all the ins and outs, double moves. You know, he plays big. And I think he's one of those guys, he's just a fierce competitor. And because of his size, a lot of people be off of him. But I think he's a guy that could come in, do the reverses, and do all type of things that we ask him to do for our offense in the later rounds. We have a later round pick like that. I think he's a guy that could fall to us.
So it's interesting. I was the 2 guys I listened to the most. They had a really hard back and forth about Tez Johnson.
Really?
His story's really interesting.
Yes, it is.
His dad committed suicide when he was like an infant.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up basically being raised by Bo Nix's dad.
Bo Nix
yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
So Bo Nix also he was his coach in high school.
Mm-hmm.
That's who coached him in high school and basically was raised at his house. Football, obviously, of all the troubles he had and early trauma, it was his outlet. It was his way to get his anger out. He went from Troy to Oregon. So 12 yards per punt return, 100%. So you throw all these numbers, right? 94.
Yeah.
100% in separation percentile.
Yeah, he's a bad boy,
like,
man.
Single coverage, he'll eat you alive. But, and this is the biggest but of all, 150 something pounds. Only, and everyone keeps comping him to Tank Dell, right?
Tank Dell, yeah.
2 things though. Tank Dell's the only guy who's really been that light and come in and actually done it. 2, Tank Dell's been put through a blender, right? So if that's the only comp, and that dude can't stay on the field for more than 5 minutes, then it's hard to bode well for Tez Johnson. But I also read this too, which you'll love, JD.
Mm-hmm.
He blocks Tez Johnson.
Yeah.
He's scrappy. He likes to block. He gets thrown around, but he gets chippy, man. He'll get in there and try to push someone. He actually blocks.
That's what I love about him. That's what I love.
Yeah, seriously. It's pretty cool. I read that one of the guys said, I think it was about him, comparing him to it was a conversation they had between him and Bond. They said Tez Johnson is a better version of what Bond is supposed to be. Is what they said. They said if Tez Johnson was like 20 pounds heavier, we'd be talking about him like second round, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's really interesting. I mean, I would, for us, yeah, sure. I mean, because if you know, man, he's taking him. He's got a plan in mind. He's like, all right, I'll keep him away. I'll put him in the slot. I'll keep him well. I'll scheme it perfectly so no one ever gets their hands on him.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's definitely interesting.
Make guys miss. I mean, he can do it all, man. That's the thing, and that's the size scares everybody. But I think guys like that, without a doubt, will play bigger. They got heart. They were like, look, I'm here to prove everybody wrong. So,
and he can play make after the catch. I know he gets killed with 150 wet, but he can play make. He actually, it's single coverage eater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with Hardman visiting Chicago, you need to have that kind of guy. He could be the Hardman filler.
Yeah. I usually go for more of the middle of the field, kind of zone coverage, find an area and sit on it type guy. That's usually what I do. Because I think everyone's really obsessed with trying to find that in our tight end next. But like we've said, man, that's not easy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to find it.
You're going to kill yourself trying to find that.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's not that easy.
Yeah, you got a better chance finding a leprechaun today.
Yeah, you'll get it. You'll get it if you trade into the early first and get Brock Bowers. That's not common. You're not going to just get that, but
right.
You can find that in a receiver. There are receivers like that. You can find it in a receiver and just run more 3 receiver sets. No one ever said we have to have a dominant tight end to replace Kelsey. It could just be a number 3 receiver instead, right?
Right.
Yeah. If you Elijah Arroyo, I think so. If you watch the Senior Bowl clips, you can see he can.
Yeah, I mean, again, if Chiefs take Elijah Arroyo, they have a plan, right?
Yeah.
There's a plan to have him be that, right? That's the beauty of it. The draft is so much more than that moment. It's like, oh, you get to see. It's like exposing a little more of the brain trust of the Chiefs every time they pick someone. It's like, oh, that's what you're thinking. Oh, that's what you want to do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to wrap up the prospect show here with our final guy here. And this might surprise maybe some people. Jahad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama. So I know you signed Nick Bolton. I know linebacker is not a need for us. But this guy, I've been doing a lot of mock drafts, and somehow this guy keeps showing up at our pick in the first round, the 31st pick. Now, this kind of goes to what Tasha and JD were arguing about last week about BPA, drafting for BPA or drafting for need. This, you can make the argument it will be a need for us if they don't bring back Chanel next year. And you got this guy. And this guy, they're saying he might be the ultimate Swiss Army knife, but might be the ultimate chess piece in this year's draft class. Originally recruited, it was a 5-star recruit, originally recruited to be an edge rusher, but he became a linebacker. Been a 2-year starter at linebacker for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Originally committed to Clemson, but yeah, he was originally to be an edge rusher, and they converted him to a linebacker, middle backer, and runs a 4.5. One of the best athletes in the draft, as far as many experts are calling him, probably the best athlete in the draft, calling him a top 15 talent. But because of his uniqueness, he may fall to where we are later on in the first round, which is interesting. And when you have one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL history, you can afford to take a guy like this and have him do it all, be all over the field. A freak of nature. Dangerous blitzer through the middle or putting him on the edge, putting his hand in the dirt, being able to do that. And that's something too. If you guys remember when we drafted Chanel was a guy who did do that. They did put him in the dirt, had him blitzing from all over the place at Wisconsin. But Campbell's probably a night and day athlete over Chanel, just based on the numbers and everything he's got going for him. But yeah. Athletic, can guard the best of them, the fastest of them. And we talked about Willie Gay, why we may not bring back Willie Gay. And I think you may wait till after the draft to see if you can get a guy like Jahad Campbell at the end of the first round. Again, it's not D-line, but this, as we talked about, this draft is loaded in D-linemen. You can get your D-linemen in the second and the third rounds. And a guy like this.
I like hearing you say that.
What do you mean?
I just like hearing you say that.
Well, you can find a D-line in the second and third rounds?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well, I don't understand why. Because I'm so gung-ho on drafting one.
You have been.
Well, yeah. No, I know. But, hey.
You're doing more mocks, aren't you? You get to see some of that fruit that's a little higher in the tree, don't you?
Well, when I see a guy like Jahad Campbell falling to our pick, who's everyone's saying he's one of the best athletes in the draft, best football players in the draft, and he's coming at 31, it's like, okay, well, why is he falling? But anyway, the big thing about him is the fact that he can kind of do it all. He can, blitz quarterback, play linebacker, be on the edge. Kind of does it checks off a lot of boxes for us because JD's talking about finding a guy who can be, that dude on the side who can go get the quarterback. You can do that with him. You can also put him back there at middle linebacker spot. You can do a lot with him. But the problem is, what's the kind of scheme he's going to be playing for? And that's the thing. And that's why a lot of people, they can't really mock him to a certain team because he's just so unique. And I think you have Steve Spagnuolo. You can do a lot with him. And that if he is there at 31, I don't think he will be. But the fact that there's a chance he may be, I think he can't pass him up. So that's why I have Jahad Campbell here at this pick. Tej, I don't know, JD, are you still there? JD is gone. Tej, what do you think about this?
I can talk about Campbell.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
So Campbell, he's one of those dudes that just makes you want to take a position you didn't previously consider. So if you're going into this whole draft process thinking like, we're not taking linebacker, and then you watch him and you read about him, you're like, why not? Why can't you have a football player like that on your team? He just does it all. And it's so untapped too, because he can rush the passer. So he gives you what you need in that regard. If you take positions out of it, you think about needs, not positional needs, but like skill needs. What do we need? Right. You need a guy who can rush the passer. You need a guy who can attack downhill. You need a guy who can cover man and zone, agile laterally, straight line, sideline to sideline, long arms, size, speed. Really needs to improve most at reading and reacting because, again, he's only played linebacker for 2 years, right? 2 full years. Although he doesn't miss a lot of tackles, he doesn't have some of that knockback power and tries to drag ball carriers down, so he does miss tackles that way. Again, that comes with getting stronger and more experience in reading and reacting. I struggle with the idea of seeing he's there a lot in mocks at 31. I just think there's going to be some team that, again, salivates at what we're saying. Like, what can I, especially a defensive-minded coach, what can I do with this guy on the field? What can't I do with this guy on the field, right? Like, I have a feeling someone's going to say that before 31. I just don't think he lasts. I have gone through many mock drafts where I take him at 31, and then I say, you know what, I'm just going to figure the rest out now. Because, I didn't get a DN that I like. That's okay, because if your linebacker has the ability to get you 6 sacks in a season and still cover a sideline to sideline and attack the middle of the field and bat down passes with long arms and shadow fast quarterbacks, then you can live with that. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out where to get the other few sacks for somewhere else. And then you're talking about us as a team. You got Chanel in his last year. You got Trinkle 2 more years, and he'll be in his 30s at that time. We signed Bolden to big money, so if Campbell's indeed high on Veach's board, he makes it a 31, he's going to have a hard decision to make.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you kind of figure it out. You get the best football player possible at that pick if he does fall there. And the fact that, some people are calling him one of the best athletes in this draft. And it's also, too, you don't many times see, when people talk about, the ultimate chess piece, you don't usually see it for defense. It's usually an offensive guy. It's a guy who can play receiver or play running back and do a lot of different things. They call Deebo Samuel for the longest time the ultimate chess piece. This guy, he just does. It's a little different, to have a linebacker who you can put his hand in the dirt to freaking have him go get the quarterback. I think it would be the ultimate thing to give Steve Spagnuolo to kind of have fun and play with if he gets there. And I just kind of did this based on the fact that I've done a lot of mocks. I've seen him fall to the 32 spot, and I've seen Eagles take him at some spots too, right?
Oh, man, you don't want that to happen.
I could see a team like that taking a guy like this.
Totally.
Why not?
Totally.
JD,
he's top 12, 15 on most scouts, like Jeremiah's, McShay's on their overall value board in the draft.
Yeah,
he's top like 12 on a lot of guys.
He's a football player.
Crazy.
He's a football player. JD, what if on draft day, because a lot of mocks have him going to 31, if he falls to 31 and you see the Chiefs take him, what's your initial thoughts if that were to happen?
No, I don't think they'll take him. He falls to 31. I don't think they will. I think this for need. I think they'll go for more so need than they will for best player available. He's a very talented guy. Okay. Runs a 4.5, very athletic, can help us out a whole lot. And I'm saying this, that you can have linebackers that can run like we had Willie Gay. Okay. And it talks about this, it kind of in his bio, talking about how he may get lost and then make up with his athletic ability. And it goes into the IQ of the place. But if you're not generating pass rush pressures, keeping guys off the linebacker, it's not even going to matter. They said he kind of gets stuck on blockers. That's another thing. Gets behind blockers that come off. He's better to open the field, making tackles. He's a hell of a talent. He is a hell of a talent. I know we're talking about Leo Chanel, but I think he's more kind of on the tranquil spot. That's what he would be. He'll be that guy. Leo Chanel, if you look at like how much he's not playing as much as all the other linebackers. He's just not. A linebacker being able to cover tight ends would be nice, no question about it. That without a doubt. I think what helps eliminate that is if you have a pass rush. I think if you have a pass, huh?
He can do that.
Yeah, if you want him to do that, for sure. There's a lot of versatility with him, being there. And when I watched him, I mean, he makes plays. He's always in there on the ball, but that's just his speed and athletic ability. The thing is, that's, it is a Willie Gay type. That is, he has the speed, athletic ability, athleticism just off the charts to do all those things. Chiefs may take him. If he's there, absolutely. But then if you don't get the guy that you want, a defensive tackle or defensive end, then you're kind of wasting a piece. You haven't even, cover, but if he can't get off blocks and you have a problem with generated pass rush, he can't cover forever. So but look, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad at it. If they took him, definitely not. But I think this is a piece for certain teams, right? Like you were saying, certain teams would not bypass a guy like him up. Will the Chiefs do that? Shoot, I don't know. But he's been, without a doubt, a hell of an athlete, a hell of a player. So
I think taking him would depend on two things. One, how enamored we are with him. Two, I think we'd be confident in some of those other positions that we want and need being available later.
Yeah.
I think we would have to be somewhat comfortable with both those things. And you know what? If they're like, if we do this, it sets us back a little bit. Now we might want to trade out of one of our next picks to get a couple more so we can get that position in here now. We have the flexibility to do that too, right? So I think, it's if that's worth it to them, then yeah, absolutely.
So let's say, okay, we'll give a scenario. Let's say a guy like James Pierce fell, or Mike Green, or somebody like that. They had questions about it. Do you take them over Campbell?
Green.
You the GM now, Tay. This is your GM. Yeah. What are you doing?
Now, I'll be honest, I haven't looked into them as much just because I don't think they will. Pierce more so, I think. But I've heard if there's one guy with character problems, I heard he's numero uno on that character. I heard he's off half a team's boards because of
Mike Green?
No, Pierce.
Oh, Pierce.
I heard Pierce big time character problems. I don't know, with our fifth offseason in a row of having character concerns or issues in the law, whether they're valid or not, or whether the charges are dropped or not. I don't know if we're going to just go walk right into that. But Green would be really hard for me. I'd probably go Green there because I think Green's also someone who's not expected to be there. Green's like the best of both worlds. Green's got a position we need off the bat, and he's got the overall value. Then you're talking about two guys with like top 12, 15 ratings overall, right? Pierce too, But Green minus the character, top 12, 15 talent overall, then I think you do that.
Yeah.
Because we have the depth is better at linebacker, even with no Chanel after next year, than at the end. We got Jordan. That's pretty much it, right? As far as a sure thing goes on our team. So yeah, I would go Green. Pierce would be harder for me. I think when you're dealing with such big character concerns like that, I just think it's a different evaluation for them at that point because they're going off the field too, not just on the field. On the field, I'd probably if he was a good guy and no character concerns, I'd go Pierce for the same reasons I said before. It's a huge need for us, and he's a great value. It's both. It's crossing off two of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are you saying? Didn't mention linebacker to come out. The thing is, he'll come in and he'll play immediately. We had to get into the rotation. We had to use him. That's the thing about his versatility. You had to put it in and just utilize. Like, look, we're going to find somewhere for you to do. Certain packages, we'll have you just go get the football, or just to cover on third down, maybe the tight end, if you had to be the guy to do that. I can definitely see that. So that's what I'm saying, man. He's such a valuable pick. It'd be hard to pass on that. He would be hard to pass on if he fell to 31. But if you're getting the guy that you want, right? Because then all of a sudden you start looking at the D line. You're not going to have the D line that you want, right? You're not going to have the Harmons. You're not going to have, shoot, I just do a blank on some. The Alexanders, the Nolans. You're not going to have those guys. Those guys, if they're there, it's like, man, do we take those as opposed to this? So,
Yeah, definitely. It's funny too because you always talk about like offensive pieces where like, oh, imagine Andy with this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
How often do you hear? Imagine Spags cooking up a defense with this guy, right? I mean, you usually hear for the offensive side of things. You usually hear for that defensive side of things with a player with this kind of versatility. So yeah, it'd be definitely fun if this guy were to be there at 31. But again, who knows? But again, I will say linebacker is probably not top of my needs. It was just more based on if a guy's there at 31, do we take him? And he's got a lot going for him to be taken at 31.
I want to comment back to Chiefs fan 211. I did read the Mike Green allegations of a possible sexual assault. I believe that was back at UVA. I'm not come out saying, oh, it's a UVA, it's fine. I'm not excusing it by any means. The allegations. I haven't heard any recent problems. The problems with Pierce are like fighting with like coaches and like having issues on the field with teammates and with coaching staff. A guy that had allegations that's moved past years ago. I mean, being a Chief fan, I think we know we've dealt with a fair share of guys. I mean, Kareem Hunt is one of those guys. I know we want to forget it, but so you can't get past allegations that you dealt with years ago. But current on the field from like current coaching staff, Pierce, that's what I was referring to with Pierce. And even Nolan, by the way, I heard Nolan's got his fair share of character concerns too. Not as bad as Pierce. Pierce is like all people's boards, but
I mean, it's gonna be hard, man, to find a Boy Scout.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
Hey, I'm just gonna be honest. You come from college, and they're getting everything that you possibly want, and then being put on a pedestal.
And they're getting money now, JD.
Money. Come on,
they used to have to be a Boy Scout at least till they got to the NFL. Then they can go run wild. But now they already got the money.
Man, you give me 1.5 at 21 years old, ain't nothing you're going to be able to tell me. Nothing. Let's go. Not a daggone thing. JD, I'm like, I don't care. Shoot, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Save it.
I already got paid.
Don't waste your breath. Yeah.
I already got paid, so.
Right.
Well, I was
guy's going to be like, all right, hey.
You want to be drafted? Because before they can say, you want to be drafted? You want to ruin your ride? It's like, I mean, you see my ride? I already got a ride. I got a Lambo out there.
Well, but at least it does give an insight to the player, right? Whereas you may not know a certain issue may arise with a player back in the day, when they got money, maybe they change, right? At least you kind of know what you're getting before they get into your team. You can say, yeah, I don't know if I want that now. At least it kind of gives you a prelude what kind of player you can be getting if the player changes his personality and identity based on the kind of money he's getting. So it does.
And if a guy's a Boy Scout with a lot of money, he's not going to change when you give him money. He's already got it, and he's still a good dude. He's still a team first guy, and he's still all about it, right? That desire, that fire is there no matter what. It's like, man, how can we incentivize this guy to get better and be better for us and care more when he already doesn't care now? He's already making money. Like, you forget. I mean, how? What are we gonna do?
Yeah, not exactly. But all right, guys, we're approaching the 2:15 mark. We're approaching Ten Commandments, Cecil beat the meal style here with this epic episode. But guys, we'll be next Monday, as we mentioned, we'll be doing running back. So 6 running back prospects next Monday, as we promised on the chat earlier on. But we hope you guys enjoyed our 6 prospects tonight as we approach the NFL draft's coming up here in just about 5 weeks, 6 weeks. But yeah, JD, take us away, brother.
Well, I hope y'all enjoyed it. A good episode. Actually, on Wednesday, what I will be doing as Chief Insider, somebody had asked about doing somewhat of a breakdown on film. So on Wednesday, what I will be doing more of a breakdown on Wednesday, talking about some of the guys that we did sign. Jalen Moore, Christian Fulton, those are the guys, we know who Gardner Minshew and all those, we know those guys. But y'all want to hear about those guys? I'll give you my good breakdown of those, what I think, the pros and the cons of the guys that we're signing. And so, like I said, if you ask, we will deliver. And I'm going to deliver on that. It's something I love to do. So I will go through the film. We can talk about those people as well. But other than that, listen, appreciate you all coming out. Just want to wish a happy birthday to Hippie Kripriot. I know she said happy birthday when they get to say and acknowledge her when she first got in. But just want to tell her that. G-Pick, my brother, I'll be praying for you for successful surgery tomorrow. That hip is going to come in. You're going to be like the $6 million man. Okay. And I hear that little beep, 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 when you're running this stuff, right? So definitely praying for you on that, my guy. But everybody else, man, like you said, barbershop, great conversation. Love me some Uncle Rico. Yeah. But it's good seeing you all. We will definitely see y'all Wednesday night. Thank you so much. Let me give a rundown to everybody. Mike Brennan, Nana Sherry, Faye Smith. Thank you. Love you too, Faye. Linda Hunter, thank you. Good show. Good night. Good night to you. Duckins, thank you, sir, for coming in, giving your good insight on things. Thank you so much. Honor Chenault, YB Negative, Bumpkin Bob, Mike Brennan, Demetrio Spence, Linda Hunter, Witchy Hall. Good to see you, Witchy, in here. Sasha, thank you so much. I'm the Brown. Appreciate it. Some good prospects. It was a good conversation talking about all these guys.
Great.
Just from the start to the, to where we are now.
You know how happy we're going to be we get one of these guys?
Yes, sir.
Man, not to mention they were great prospects, but just like double that. It's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Drew Brochet, Chiefs fan 211. CJ Mack, 800 yards, 13 games. Beautiful thing. Kareem Hunt off the couch. Beautiful. CJ Mack, I agree with you 1,000%. So we got our boy back, man. CJ Mack. Sia McBride, defensive win championship. Hopefully this is a heavy defensive draft for us, at least 3 or 4 guys that's going to come out there and make a splash immediately for what we can do. And defenses do win championships. True Champ, good to see you as well. Let me see who else we got. Brian Birch is in the house. Let's see who else we have in here. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Everybody coming in. Greg Rose is here as well. Sparkle Sports Car. Good day from Australia. Good day to you too. Sparkle Sports Car. Try to come in with a little awesome speaking a little bit. Hey, Right. All right. Gary Holland is here. It warms my heart to see how many people came in the chat to listen to us tonight. Hearts and Roses as well. Maria DeJarnes. Let me see who else we have in here.
We did get a question way earlier on in the episode. It's more of a personal question from Dana Carl, which is a new name. I've never seen the name before.
Okay.
Marcus, how did you and your brother become fans of the Chiefs? Just wondering. Tasia, I'm going to leave that to you because I saw this guy watching this red team, and I wanted to join in on the fun. So, Taj, take that away, buddy.
The origin story. Okay, everything fades in. Get a silhouette. As far as the moment, I am not sure. I was so young that I don't remember the moment it happened. So our brother, one of them, is a diehard Raider fan. The legend goes that I just took the opposite, which I'm sure a lot of people would love. That's the simplest explanation. But ever since it's hard to explain because ever since I liked football, it was synonymous with liking the Chiefs. I don't have a moment where I would freelance or watch this team and that team. It was just like Chiefs, Tecmo Bowl, Super Tecmo Bowl, pick your season team, Chiefs. Christian Okoye running through people, video games. It was always Kansas City. We saw a Kansas City item at like a random because you didn't have Amazon and eBay back then. If you saw a Kansas City item in one of your stores locally, living in the Northern Virginia, D.C. area, you bought it. You got it right away. And it was like, oh my gosh, it was the feeling you get when they draft your guy. It was like, they have that here? Why do they have that here? I don't care. Let's get it. A starting lineup at your KB Toys or Toys R Us. Had to buy the Chief guy. Just ever since I liked football, I like Kansas City, and just grew, man. Took some tough years in the 90s, took some hard losses, and then moved on to this guy's era in the early 2000s with some glory years, and then some more rough years, and then here we are. And then Marcus joined soon after.
Yeah, 8 years old, 9 years old, Tasia, and I go into the kitchen for dinner. Tasia just saying, Tasia's pulling out like he's Willie Rowe for JD and like just tossing me out of the way.
Right. That's right. Going to our parents' big king size bed, coming out, giving a stance, coming out hard, just meat hooks under the arms, man, like that. I got big thumbs, JD. I got big thumbs. My thumbs almost the length of my index finger. Get them in there, lock them in, and just throw them on that bed.
Yeah. Take it for a ride.
Yeah. Yep. Do the whole belly flop on, put your arms out like you're not holding, just like laying on them like one of those.
So there you go. There's the origin story there, Dana Carl. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
The Berg, baby. That's right. Because everyone always thinks it was Montana. I like the Chiefs before Montana. I love the Berg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Stephon Page, AJ Burden, Willie Davis, Todd McNair, Keith Cash, all of them, baby. I go back.
Mike Brandon, Tasia going against the grain just because who'd have guessed it? Yeah, everybody in my family hears and feels that comment, Mike Brennan.
And that's why we're here, baby. So there you go. Contrarian to get us here, contrarian on here. Here we go. Since been.
It's pretty good right there. No, well, I tell you what, man. However we brought us together, it's a beautiful thing. So,
Atwater, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
Steve Atwater.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Orange and blue team. Yeah, Steve Atwater, man. Come on. Whew. Man, animal back there. Animal. So, JD, I became a Chiefs, fan. Okay. It's good. Well, I tell you what, maybe when I really started, maybe Montana really being a fan. I like football. I love like guys playing. I was more so players than teams. That's how I was. I wasn't necessarily being here from Kentucky. You didn't really have anybody around us. So we had like Cincinnati You know, that was kind of it. So, but other than that, man, I was a huge Walter Payton fan. But yeah, the Chiefs. No, that's a great story. That's a wonderful story. Wonderful story. But we appreciate everybody finishing up. Kevin Morris, Scarecrow, Calvin Rance, Zula was on here. Jay Kelsey, David Akers, Hannah, my nephew. It was good to talk to you all. We will see you on Wednesday. Y'all come on out. We're going to have a little bit more for sure for everybody. But
off-season film review from the dungeon. Oh,
yes,
yeah,
sir.
baby. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I can't wait.
Can't wait.
Listen, yeah. Take care. God bless. Who was it? Tracy Ullman. Go home. Go home. Go home. Tracy Ullman. You remember Tracy Ullman?
Yes.
Might be. I know Tasha does, but
Yeah.
Marks don't remember that. You remember Tracy Ullman?
Okay, I know. I wasn't old enough to really appreciate that humor yet, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she would always end our show at the end. She'd be like, "Go home, go home, go home." British, feeling that. Listen, look, y'all take care, everybody out there. Chiefs Concerns family, thank you for showing up tonight. We appreciate you so much. We love each and every one of you all. We will see you all on Wednesday. Take care. God bless. Love each other the way we're supposed to. Take care of one another, family and everybody wise. We will see you. Y'all be good. Dash brothers. Love you, brothers. I will see y'all too. We will be talking like we always do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Love you, JD. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Be ready for film review, baby.
Yes, sir.
See you, everybody. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.